So first off, I want to say thank you to Molly for inviting us to come and assist with the group on this day of planning. And this is an action plan that we're really excited about. It's a tool that's very useful in helping groups work together to bring the ideas and voices from everyone involved and bring us to the end of our 3 hours together. So around noon time today, we will have a plan to move forward. And this morning, we're really focusing on fall. So think of September, October, November, December of this coming school year. And if everybody could click onto slide 4, there's a place there to sign in if you're able to. And you can, we're marking down what your name is and your preferred pronouns if you care to share those, and your role, and then something that has excited you about this planning project. So don't worry about that one too much right now if you're having trouble accessing the computer or if you're on by phone. We can skip that for now. So it looks like most everybody has signed in. On slide 3, you can see photos of Celina and I, and a little background description. I have worked mostly in health education across the United States and our territories and tribal nations, mostly working with educators, and also a lot of time with Head Start on a dual language learners pilot program across the nation. And Celina brings her own set of skills. Do you want to say just a little bit, Celina?
Sure. So Celina Peña, I am originally from the Frontera, Rio Grande Valley of Texas. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas, and now I live in Pittsburgh. I work in micro-lending and community economic development, and I am very happy to be here. I look forward to learning from you all, but also helping you move forward.
And just to say, we will speak in English, however, we both understand Spanish. And a little shout out, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in the Dominican Republic back in the 1980s, in the olden days. So, and I also want to introduce Kim Howe, who you will see and hear participating today. She's our mentor and who is observing us as we facilitate.
Well, hello, everyone. Great to be with you.
Thank you, Kim. So what I would like to do is, if possible, I think we'll just go down the participant list that I have and ask everyone just to, when it comes to be your turn, unmute your microphone and just tell us your name and your role, your name and one word that for you when you think about the Colectiva last year and their actions, your activities. What's one word that comes to mind for you when you think of the collective from last year? So for me, I would say, I'm Jennifer, I'm the facilitator, and I see dedication. So let me see, Molly, could I have you go first and we'll go down the list?
Soy Molly, uso pronombres ella.
I'm Molly. My pronouns are she. I am bilingual and I am the exiting president of Colectiva.
Voy en transición.
I am in transition. Jose will represent me and my word is community.
Siguiente. A Valentín, que aparece segundo.
Valentín, would you like to go next?
Ya. Sí, buenos días. Bueno, mi nombre es Valentín.
Morning, my name is Valentín.
Mi idioma natal es el español. Igual ando aprendiendo lo que es el inglés.
I'm learning English.
Bueno, mi como digamos, la palabra de colectiva es pues
My word
diversidad.
for Colectiva is
Y
diversity,
represento a Colectiva como Green Central y estoy en el área de comunicaciones.
and I represent Colectiva from Green Central and Communications.
Thank you, Valentin. And Blanca?
Buenos días, mi nombre es Blanca Caldas. y
Good
soy
morning. My
miembro de
name
la
is
comunidad.
Blanca Calda.
Hablado
I'm a
también
member
en
of
la
the
mente,
community.
por el trabajo que he visto que está haciendo la
The work
colectiva.
that I see
es
Colectiva doing is
accountability.
accountability.
Le paso María Solano.
I'll pass it on to Maria Solano.
Hola a
And
todos,
can,
buenos días.
Hello, everyone.
Mi
Good
nombre
morning.
Bueno, en sí mi nombre completo es María del Socorro Solano González. Yo
My
soy de
name is
México.
Maria Socorro Solano, and I'm from
En este
Mexico.
país me conocen como María Solano.
And here they know me as
Solamente
Maria
conocen un nombre
Solano.
y un apellido, pero,
Here they just know one name and one last name,
y de cariño me dicen Mari.
and they call me
Yo
Mari.
represento
I
soy
represent
representante de colectiva en la escuela Roosevelt.
for Colectiva in
Tengo una hija en
Roosevelt.
Anderson,
I have a
tengo
daughter in
una hija en
Anderson
Roosevelt,
and a daughter at Roosevelt.
y hago trabajo
And I do work
de voluntariado en Anderson.
volunteering in
Pero también estoy
Anderson,
tratando de abrir los enlaces de
but I'm also
comunicación
trying to
en
open
Roosevelt
the
para
links of
trabajar en equipo
communication
con las
in
demás
Roosevelt
escuelas,
to work with the
apoyo
other
en todas las
schools.
actividades
I
que se
support
puede,
all the activities I
trato de
can.
participar en todo lo que hace
I try to
colectiva,
participate in everything
estoy
Colectiva
aprendiendo
does.
con todo el equipo.
I'm learning with all of the
Bueno,
team.
para mí colectiva
For me,
significa
Colectiva means
trabajo en equipo.
working in a team, teamwork.
thank you so much, Mari. Let's see. And did we hear from Jackie yet?
Mi nombre es Jacqueline Jara.
My name is Jacqueline Hada. I'm Colombian.
Soy comunicadora.
I'm a
Estoy
communicator.
como representante de
I'm a representative of Colectiva Bilingüe
la escuela Las Estrellas.
in Las Estrellas.
En una palabra,
One
definir
word
colectiva
to
bilingüe
define
es
Colectiva.
complicado porque tienen
Bilingüe is
muchos talentos,
complicated
muchas
because they have a
virtudes,
lot of
pero,
talents and virtues.
para mí sería el trabajo hombro a hombro.
For me, it would
Se
be working
nota
shoulder
el
to
esfuerzo, el
shoulder.
sacrificio
We
que
notice the
realizan, la
sacrifice
entrega, sobre todo.
that
Y,
produces
mi
what they
aspiración
do.
a este nuevo año
My inspiration for
es
this new year
entregarlo,
is to give
enterarme realmente
and to become more
y
aware
dejar lo mejor de mí,
and
dejar
leave the best
poder
of me.
hacer un buen trabajo.
Do a good job.
Actualmente estoy realizando un voluntariado en
I
una
am
fundación
volunteering
sin fines de
at a
lucro,
nonprofit foundation.
inclinada a la epilepsia. Soy paciente epiléptica.
That's related to epilepsy.
Por
I
ese
am
lado
epileptic.
también estoy como que motivada.
That's why I'm also
Programa a
motivated,
tiempo completo.
and I'm a full-time mom.
Así que eso me da como que un poquito de tiempo extra.
Gives
por
me a
hacer.
little extra time to be able to do this work.
Thank you so much for sharing. Oh. Let's see. Brisa and Kim, if you can hear me, could you maybe stop sharing just for introductions so we could see more faces?
Hi. Yes, I would say there's actually no other faces to see.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay, thank you. Then we're good. Okay, Brisa.
Sí, buenos días.
Good morning. My name is Brisa Morales. My pronouns are she and her.
Yo estoy, soy parte de la colectiva.
I'm
como
part of
community
Colectiva
liaison
as a
en Green
community
Central.
liaison at Green
Recientemente
Central.
me
And I recently
agregado a la mesa
have been
directiva
added to the
como
board
representante también.
as a representative of Green Central
La
as well.
palabra que me gusta
The
mucho
word that
para,
I like a
para
lot
esta ocasión
for
es
this
comunidad.
occasion
Me
is
encanta hacer
community.
comunidad con,
I like to
con las demás
make
personas.
community with other people.
I really appreciate that. Thank you, Brisa. Let's see. We have Gloria. Gloria, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself with your word?
¿Me puede pasar a alguien más? Estoy en una cosa
That,
que no puedo dejar, lo siento.
Can we move on to another
Yeah.
person? I can't right at the moment.
no problem. Let me see. Who is that? Jen Suzuki?
Jen
Jen no estaba
Suzuki?
para la introducción, pero Jen, ¿estás en el canal de inglés?
Jen,
Okay.
are you in the English
I
channel?
think she's
You
also
weren't
on her
here.
phone, so just give her a second. Maybe we can start with Brooke. Quizás
Yes.
empezamos con Brooke.
Brooke, could we ask you to go next?
Hola, mi nombre es Brooke.
Hello,
Mis
my name is Brooke.
pronombres son,
My pronouns are
ella,
she
she y ella,
and
y
her.
la palabra que viene a
The
mente,
word that
estoy
comes to mind,
pensando en que
I'm thinking,
en algo, tratando de poner de solo
trying to
una
put
palabra, pero
just
algo
one word,
como convivir o convivio o trabajamos juntos.
something like work together
Esas
or
son las palabras
convivir.
que vienen a mente.
Those are words that come to mind.
Thank you. It's so hard to put things into one word. I know there are many words that represent all the activities and actions of the collective. Thank you. Jen, are you ready now to speak and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Are there two channels or is it okay if I just talk here?
There is an English channel and a Spanish channel.
Okay.
Is that is it okay for her to talk there? I'll let Aida answer.
Yes, there's a English globe at the bottom of your screen, and you should be able to join either the English or the Spanish.
Do you see that globe at the bottom of your screen?
I think I just switched into the English channel. I don't know. Sorry, I'm on my phone.
Oh, it would have a little circle and then say EN in it, or maybe at the top by your name, it might say EN for English. I so appreciate the technology you have to do this interpretation. This is fantastic. Thank you. I know it takes a little patience to get everyone organized, but this is really a wonderful technology that you use. And thank you, Aida, for your skills. Aida, would you like to go ahead? Or Jen, are you ready?
Yeah, I think I think I'm seeing that I'm in the English channel. So
we're just asking for you to say your name,
if
your
I'm not in the
role.
right place. My name is Yuki.
You're muted now.
It just
Yeah.
muted.
Yo, this is funny, and I use Zoom all the time, so I shouldn't be making all these mistakes. I'm sorry.
Nope.
I'm Jen Suzuki, and I have a son at Green Center. So, working for ad, and I just feel that this work is so important because I think that elected leaders need to be connected to these schools, and they need to listen to these voices, and they need to know the importance of these schools in Minneapolis. And I have a lot of parents who talk to me who want to be involved. And so I want to them.
Thank you. It cut out a little bit, but I heard your priority to wanting leaders to hear the voices of the parents and the people involved, the families involved with the schools. Thank you so much, Jen. And let me see. I think we have Aida. Would you like to introduce yourself? And oh,
Sí, ella
no.
no puede porque es intérprete.
Okay.
She
Okay.
can't because she's an interpreter, but I will interpret her. when she has a voice. She doesn't have a voice when she is an interpreter. She is the glue. She is the one that unites all of our schools because she interprets for all of our meetings of the 5 schools, all of the site councils, and all of the parent groups. And she also trains young interpreters from Anderson and Roosevelt. So Aida is our interpreter today. Last night we had a celebration of her graduate students. I can't talk for her, but that's a little bit about her.
Thank you so much. And Gloria, are you able now to share your introduction?
Sí.
Yes.
Mi nombre es Gloria
My name is
Velázquez
Gloria
y
Velázquez.
tengo dos
I
nietecitos
have
en
2
Emerson
grandchildren
y
at
formo
Emerson,
parte de
and
la
I'm part
Colectiva
of
Bilingüe. Soy
Colectiva Bilingüe.
representante de
I
Emerson.
am a representative of
Para mí mi
Emerson.
palabra,
And for me, my word is,
no tengo palabras
I
porque
don't
son
have
muchas,
words because there's so
muchas
many
cosas importantes para mí.
many
Creo
important
que
things
para
for me
las mamás o
and
papás que
for the
están
parents
involucrados
that are also involved
en Colectiva
in
o en ser
Colectiva
voluntarios.
or in being
Para mí
volunteers.
es una
For me,
asamblea
it's an
tan
assembly
importante que
so
no nomás
important
es como
that it's not
hacer una
just
junta, no.
to make a meeting.
Empodera,
No, it empowers you.
te ilustra
It
y
shows you.
aparte hacemos un trabajo
We
que
do
se
a
siente
work
que es
that
grande,
feels
que se siente
huge.
que sí hay un cambio
It
y
feels like there is a
que
change,
cada año, cada
that every year,
cierto tiempo miramos
every
nuestras
time
notas,
we see our
cada vez
notes,
es mejor.
every year is better.
Para mí es empoderado.
For me, the word is empowered. Thank you.
I feel that I hear that so deeply. Thank you so much, Gloria. Empowered. And Celina, we've had a chance to look at, we weren't part of the activities, but do you want to say a word that stands out from you from getting to know the collective?
Excitement, energy. So, yeah.
And is there anyone I've missed? Anyone who came in who has not yet signed in? Or that we didn't hear from? Great. So I'm going to go through a few introductory things just to find out about technology. And I think we already know some. It sounds like many of you are participating by phone. And if you're able to grab a dot on slide 5, and Kim, if you want to share this screen, slide 5. If you're able to grab a dot on the screen and you can just hover over it, it'll have 4 arrows, and then just move the dot to where you are and then click somewhere else on the page, and then your dot will stay there. How comfortable you are with Zoom, and then how comfortable you are with Google Slides. If you're able to do that. And so what I think I'm seeing is that many people will not have access to moving on the slides. So what we'll do is ask for your input, your comments verbally, and then we can type either whoever's not presenting or our observer, Kim, can help type those things into the screen. And by the end of the meeting, we'll have a record of the comments and input on the slides that you can look at later. And feel free to stop us at any moment if there's something happening on the screen or in the meeting that you don't understand, or if there's any problem, feel free to raise a hand or just shout out and let us know, because we want to make sure everybody's staying with us and that we're all together through the whole process. So thank you. So people are finding it out. And it looks like a lot of people are very comfortable with the Google Slides and Zoom. Thank you. The next couple slides, number 6, it shows a lot of details about Zoom and how to set up your screen with chat and participants. It sounds like you have used Zoom many times. So I'm just going to briefly just show you that you have these available. And There's one in English and one in Spanish with your tips and things you can look at. And then if you go to slide 8 or not, slide 8, it's both in English and Spanish. It shows in case you have 2 screens, sometimes it's easier to organize your space so that you can see both screens easily. So it's helpful to maybe show your participants panel to see who's there, or show the chat on one screen and then be able to look at the slides on another, just in case someone has maybe a telephone and a tablet. And if you're on your phone, that's fine. We will work together to make sure you're understanding and seeing everything going on. So again, slide 10 again just shows another way to arrange your screen to be able to see everyone. And one last technology before we start with our content of our program is just, does everyone know how to undo something? That there's a little on the Google Slides, up near the top left corner of the screen, there's a little arrow that points backwards. So if you do something, and you can try just moving one of the dots, one of the gray dots there, if you move it and think, oh, I didn't want to do that, you can just press the arrow that's shown in the circle there, and it would move it back. It would undo whatever the last thing was. So you can, this is a great slide. You're not going to hurt anything. You're not going to cause any problems. So you can play with this now if as needed. And it's just always good to know how to do that undo. That little arrow just undoes whatever the last movement was. So I'm going to move a little quickly down to our next slide, which is our group agreements. And if you look at slide 12, that shows the agreements listed in Spanish, and in English, you can look to slide 13. So do I have a volunteer who could read the first 4 agreements out loud for us? These are just agreements that we'll use for the next few hours to help us have an effective meeting. Is there someone who can unmute and read for us in your preferred language? Trying to think. Mari, are you able to read for us? And you can say no if you don't want to.
Sí, claro, está bien. Ok. Número 1.
Yes, I can do it. Number 1.
Permanecer en la cámara, excepto en los descansos.
Have your camera on except
Prepárate
during
para
breaks.
participar,
Number 2,
activar el sonido,
prepare to participate.
evitar
Turn on the sound.
distracciones, otras
3,
tecnologías, email,
avoid other
etc.
distractions like other
Levanta la
technology
mano,
and
ya
email.
sea en la cámara
Number 4,
o usando
raise
Zoom.
your hand on the camera or using the one on Zoom.
Perfect. Thank you. And then is there another volunteer who could read number 5 through 8 for us, again, in either language? Brooke, are you available to do that? Again, you can always tell me no.
Brooke, are you available?
Sí, me ha dicho 5
Yes.
o
5
Did you say
hasta
5?
8.
okay.
5 to 8.
Déjanos saber cuando hayas terminado de hablar.
Let us know when you're finished speaking.
Tenga cuidado con su
Be
tiempo,
careful with your
con el
time with
micrófono.
the microphone.
Coge una pelota para apretar o
Pick up a
un
ball
objeto
to
antiestresa.
Holding your hand for
Evita la
stress,
tensión de hacer clic en las dispositivos.
and try to avoid the tendency to click on future slides.
Contigo mismo
Have grace
y
with
con los
yourself
demás.
and with
Todos
others.
estamos
We are
descubriendo
all
esto juntos.
learning about this together.
Thank you. Thank you, Brooke. So does anyone have any questions about any of those? Is there anything we need to clarify?
Solo quería decir que si las personas
I
como
just wanted
Gloria
to say, if people like Gloria who's working,
agradecemos su
we
participación, pero no
appreciate
es
your participation.
obligatorio prender su cámara. Es mejor
It's
estar
not
que no estar.
it's not a requirement to have your camera
Libre
on. We appreciate that you're here. If you need to be off, that's fine.
No, que
I didn't
siempre
want
se
to
siente más
interrupt.
conexión con las caras, pero es mejor
We
estar
always
que
feel
no
more
estar.
connection with the cameras on, but it's better to be here than not be here. So thank you for being here, even though you're working. One clarification. My camera doesn't work. I would like to put it on, but it doesn't work. And then the work, I can't put it on. I'm sorry.
Thank you for letting us know. And was that Jackie who was saying about the camera? I see Jackie's hand. Go ahead, Jackie.
Sí, a mí
Yeah,
me gustaría también,
I would also
por el tema de la cámara,
like to talk about the topic of the
comprendo
camera.
y
I
respeto el
understand and
tema
I
de
respect
no tener otras distracciones,
not have other distractions
porque debemos de estar atentos
because we should be
y
paying attention
estamos interactuando.
and we
Es
are interacting.
importante
It's important
estar enfocados en
to be focused
el tema.
on the topic.
Por ejemplo, en mi caso,
In my case,
como ya lo habrán notado,
like as I've
un
mentioned,
poquito no complicado,
it's a little not complicated, but
lidiar con los pequeños,
to interact with the little ones.
pues por lo menos en mi caso sí prefiero como que dejar la cámara apagada para
In my case, I prefer to have the camera off to respect you,
que hay ocasiones en las
because there are times when
pues mi pequeña obviamente
my
no
little one
comprende que
doesn't
estoy en una
understand
reunión de
that I'm in a
Zoom
meeting at
y
Zoom
debo quedarme sentada.
and I should stay seated.
Con ella me levanto,
So with her, I
pero
get up,
estoy pendiente porque
but I'm
tengo audífonos
still listening because I have headset.
y es solamente eso.
And just that,
Es parecido al caso de Gloria,
it's similar to
es mejor
Gloria's
estar
case.
presente,
It's better to be present,
pero pues sin cámara.
but without camera.
Es solamente el tema de la cámara.
That's just the topic of the camera.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I was going to add to the agreements, do the best you can. And I think that's all we can ask for. And I appreciate, yeah, use your camera as you can and do the best you can. And I also want to say, use your preferred language always. Don't feel any pressure to use another language. And lastly, take care of yourself. We'll have a couple shorter breaks rather than one long break to give people a little time to take care of their needs. And feel free to, yeah, take care of your needs as you need to. If you need to run to the restroom or grab something to drink or pick up a child, if you just take care of your needs, we understand that. Okay. Can everybody agree to this?
Gracias.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And if anything comes up later that you think of that we need to add to these agreements, I appreciate it. Perfect. I see your thumbs up. I appreciate it. If anything comes up, we can always go back and add more to our agreements as we needed. So, so again, this is looking at our plan for the plan for this coming fall. And let me see. what we're going to do, I'm sorry, there's I missed one thing. What we're going to do is a process that has 8 steps. And the first half of the meeting will work on our first 4 steps, which are really generating a lot of ideas from the group, hearing your ideas, your visions, and your commitments. Everyone sharing a lot in the next hour and a half. And then the last part will be the last 4 steps, which is more looking specifically at what are going to be the actions that the group does and how to set those out in a sequence or a calendar, and making sure that there are shared priorities to set yourselves up for success with the collective this fall. And as you can see on slide 14, the steps are, those are written in Spanish, but basically they're very similar to the English words. The first step is context. So what are our givens or the data and facts that we have about what your work will be? Then we'll talk about victory and do some big sky thinking. We'll look at our reality, what's actually going on for us, kind of our strengths and challenges. And then our step 4 is where we'll look at our commitments or agreements for the next fall. And then you can see the second half is starts at step 5, where we look at the key actions, step 6, calendars, and step 7, coordination of how does communication happen. And we have, I hope, some time at the end to do a brief reflection or resolution about our process today. So again, raise your hand or speak out if you have any questions. And let me just check the chat here. Let me see. And we'll move on to slide 15. So this is just looking at what do we know about what's going on for next fall. And I want to make sure, oh gosh, this is hard because I don't want to distract people from to look at this. But I'm going to put here at the bottom, I want to make sure we have the updated work plan. Let me see if I can copy this here. So we do know a lot. You have some amazing plans already set up for the coming fall. And I'll put a link here. Oops. Did you just do that, Celina? There we go. Okay. Okay. I put it also in the participant, the facilitator notes. So what we know is there's a lot that has been set out for the 4 committees to do. And our time frame we're looking at is right now through December, with really, we know the bulk of the activities will happen September through December. And we're looking at the 5 schools. Who will do this? We know it's the members of the collective, and also much more volunteers that will help you out with these activities. The budget, my understanding is there's a proposed budget, and the reason why, we understand the larger mission of the collective, and our focus right now when we look at the fall activities is to complete your fall goals. So thinking about this, what else do we know about your activities coming up for the fall? Welcome, Jose.
Acabo de poner los 4
I just put the 4 committees in the chat. I know many people here are new in the board and many identify as school representatives. The committees are for the leaders who lead, and as a representative of the school, you are in everything. You represent your school, and you make sure that your school is participating in these 4 initiatives of Colectiva. So for today, if you're not a leader, like Jen is a leader, or advocacy, she will be in this one. So if you're not a leader, you can know what are the 4 committees and how they are related to your school. You're like the owner of your school's calendar, and to just make sure that your school is aware of the 4 committees.
Thank you. Is there anything else that we need to add to the givens? What we definitely know about the work that the committees will do this fall. And I know that, again, I know the work plan has many, many details in it. So we can look at that. You'll have time to look at that on your own and later. Okay, so we know our givens and
Otra cosa es que ustedes vieron nuestro presupuesto.
Another thing is that you saw our budget in the last meeting. But this meeting is to be more aware of the activities, and there is time to see about our budget. If there's something we're not going to consume, or if there's something we might want to do and add to the budget, now is a good time to say it before we approve the budget.
So, so that would be a good conversation in the second half of the meeting when we're looking at resources, and after we've looked at the key activities, that'll be perfect for then. So, Celina, I believe at this time I would pass it to you and we can look at victory.
That's correct. Thank you, everyone, for being so patient as we get all situated. Now I want you to take a deep couple of breaths. So just take some time. Here we are together. And part of our process in doing this is getting to think about, what does victory look like? And when I say victory, some folks will say, why is it that we're winning? Well, you put a lot of work into what you're doing, right? And so the words that you shared in being in community, celebrating, lifting each other up are super important. And so now I want you to think really big. Hola, hello. Really big about, here we are in January, and we just finished 6 months of work in our committees and in our activities, right? And everyone is sitting around reflecting on what we have done. And so I want to give you just a couple of minutes to close your eyes, think through, what does that look like for you, right? And so if we take the time to think about what victory looks like, what do the events look like? Like, close your eyes, you're at Dia de los Muertos, you're at the canoeing, you're at the picnic. What do all of those efforts and events bring to the table? And what do you see that makes you smile and think, we really did this, right? We put all of our work and effort into it. So I'm going to give you just a minute to think about those moments. Think about what you see, what you hear, what activities made you happy or that you contributed to, who came, right? All of the things that make us show up today and every day as we move forward. So I'm going to give you a minute to just kind of think through the positive aspects of what has taken place at the end of January at the end of 2026. After you get those ideas, either you write them down or you hold them, we're going to go round robin. So we're going to go around our squares and share one victory or one element of victory that you would like to share. And I am going to ask that we start. I'm looking at my screen, and so I'm going to start. And if you're unable to, just say I can't, and we will move to the next person. All right. I'm going to start with Blanca. So Blanca, if you can share your vision of victory, 1 or 2 words, that would be great, if you can.
A ver. Más comunicación
More communication
entre todas las
between
cosas
everyone
por un gol
for a
unificado.
goal that's unified.
Great. So we have lots of great communication, and these events are amazing, right? And our committee work is great. Thank you, Blanca. Let's go to Maria de Socorro, right? Did I get that right?
Solano.
Solano.
De Socorro Solano.
Yeah, thank you. You said it very well. Both.
Los dos, gracias. Thank you.
Ok. Bueno, yo lo puedo definir en
I would define it as
coordinación,
coordination,
empatía
empathy,
y comunicación.
and communication.
So we coordinate together and have empathy for each other and the people that are with us. Beautiful. Thank you. So that's Maria. And then I'm going to go to Jackie.
Para mí, Victoria,
For me, victory
sería que
would be
el llamado a los eventos
the calls to the events
o la convocatoria a los eventos fuera al 100%,
would be 100%.
que armamos o que
like the
creamos
events that we
y
create
preparamos
and
para
prepare
la comunidad.
for the
Que
community,
estos eventos
that these events be
que sean concurridos al 100% por las familias y
concurrent,
para las familias.
100% by the
Esa
families
sería
for the
la
families.
victoria.
That would be the victory.
Beautiful.
Bello.
So then I'm going to move to, let's see here. I did Blanca, Maria, Jackie. Let's do Gloria. What does victory look like?
For me, it would be solidarity.
Solidario porque siempre estamos
Solidarity because
pensando que
we're always thinking every day,
mi tarea mejor
do our
y pensar
work
que si mi
better,
compañera o compañero
and think
necesita ayuda,
if my
también
colleague needs help
hacerlo.
also to
Pienso
do it.
que también solidario.
Solidarity.
Beautiful. All right, let's do Valentin. What does victory look like? What does it feel like? What are some of the words that you have for it? You are on mute, Valentin, so I think you need to unmute.
Sí. Perdón.
Sorry.
Bueno, yo lo definiría como
Well, I would define it as commitment
llegar al objetivo que
to be able to
plantea
reach the objectives
dentro de
that
la
we
comunidad.
are trying to do within the community.
Thank you. Let's move on to Jen.
I would think success might feel like each school and families in each school feel connected to Colectiva.
Thanks, Jen. Jose?
Gracias, Jen.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everyone.
Perdón, se me pegó la
Sorry.
sábana porque me dormí. Me dio la
I
noche, desperté
overslept. I was up midnight. I was dreaming on this, and I thought I was here already.
Una victoria para mí
A victory for me
que
is
la comunidad se
the community unites
a la propuesta de Colectiva como
to the proposal of Colectiva as a cultural thing, not as a program, and that the schools, the administrators and staff see Colectiva as
como parte de ellos y no
part of them
fuera de ellos,
and not outside of
la
them,
colaboración mutua
where the
sea
mutual collaboration could
posible
be possible,
y que no lo miren como
and they don't see it as
algo adicional
something
que
additional
solo le da dinero,
that just
sino
gives
que
them money.
es central de
That a central
del
part
esfuerzo de hacer
of
una
the
comunidad
strength of being a strong community identified in
cultura,
bilingualism as a culture, not as a program,
seamos realmente compañeros.
and that we could really be companions.
Thank you, Jose. I'm glad you were dreaming about this. And I'm glad you came too. All right, Molly?
Me encanta lo que dijo.
I love what Jose said. My goal has always been to train and strengthen, empower many leaders. I know the leadership of Jose is very community oriented. So my victory would be that a lot of leaders, that they could feel like a lot of people are part of Colectiva and that they could take action.
Thank you. Brisa, I think you just rejoined us. So what does victory look like?
Para mí es lograr que
For me, it's to achieve that the community integrates into our activities. It's a lot of work that we have to do, but it's satisfactory when you see that they come and they participate and they leave with a smile after one event.
Great. Those smiles mean the world, right? When people leave the events and you just see the families together. Thank you all for sharing. Did I miss anyone? I want to make sure I got everyone. I feel like I did. Good. Yeah. I think we're good. Jenny, is there anything you want to add before we move on to the next portion, or Kim?
Yeah, this is a good opportunity to put yourself into the future. So imagine yourself standing in January 2026 and looking around at all of the work and accomplishments of the last year, and try to imagine some of the things that you see. So as you look back over the year, what were some of the events or activities you were most proud of? What are some things that you heard community members, parents, school leadership saying about Colectiva? What were some of the things that exist in January 2026 that didn't exist in June 2025? So what are some more things that you could look around? Maybe some photographs that were taken over the course of the year. We want to kind of imagine the future and pull out some really concrete things you can feel and touch.
Thanks, Kim. I'm going to let you think about that for a couple of seconds, and then I will open the floor for those who want to respond to that. So we won't have to go all around, but if people have some comments to what Kim shared, we'd love to hear from you.
Algo que me viene a la mente cuando Elena estaba hablando en la
Something
última
that comes
reunión
to mind
sobre
when Elena was talking in the
su
last
cabeza después de
meeting,
Copa
her
fue
picture in
la
her mind
alegría
after
de
a
Jake,
Copa was the
que es un
happiness of Jake,
compañero que
who
solamente
is
Mhm.
es y
someone who
puede hablar
only speaks
español,
English and
y
Elena
que
only
su
speaks
sensación de
Spanish.
cómo el evento fue un
And
éxito fue
her
porque fue un
way of
éxito para
knowing
Jake y
that
él
it was a
pudo
successful
transmitir
event
su alegría
was
a
seeing
ella.
Jake and that he
Entonces,
could
eso
share
me
his
como me
happiness with
hace
her.
la foto de la
That's the
conexión entre
picture that I
Elena y
see
Jake
of the
que
connection
Colectiva hizo
between
posible. Como en
Elena
persona
and
y
Jake
en forma
that
de una
Colectiva made
visual
possible as a
un hecho
visual
de que ella comunicó en la última reunión.
and something that she communicated in the last meeting.
Thank you, Molly. Let's take what Molly shares, and if we can have another person, what is something that you can visualize success at another event that you are working on?
Oh, pues a mí me gustaría
Well, for
compartirlas
me,
igual
I
en el
would like to
evento de Copa
share
Colectiva, que
the
será el más
also at
grande,
the Copa event,
es el
which was the
evento más
biggest
grande de
event,
Colectiva.
Colectiva's biggest event,
Los cambios que hubo en la
the
participación de
changes
las
in
escuelas.
participation from the
Hace poco se
schools,
hizo la
that
comparación
we did a
de lo que ha sido la
comparison,
participación de las
what was
escuelas en otros
participation
años
in
y
years
la
past
participación que
and the
tuvieron.
participation
En
this
este
year.
caso, las estrellas,
Las
hay que
Estrellas,
reconocerles que
we
ellos
have to
hicieron
recognize
posible
that
que sus
they made it
equipos, su
possible for their
staff,
teams, their
sus
staff,
líderes
their leaders
iban con su camiseta
could come
completa, estuvieron
complete with
presentes,
everyone
estuvieron
wearing their team t-shirts.
participando.
Mm.
They
Era la parte
participated.
de comunicación que
It
estaba
was
un
the part
poquito
of
difícil
communication that was a little
de
hard
Mm-hmm.
establecer con esta
to
escuela,
establish with that
como
school.
Green Central
How, and like Green
trató
Central, they tried
de participar en este evento de
participate in this
manera
event in a way
Mm-hmm.
ordenada, de manera
organized
participativa,
that was
todo en conjunto, la
participatory
comunidad, los
with
líderes, los maestros,
along with the teachers, the staff, the admin.
trabajaron para que Green
They
Central
worked so
fuera
that Green Central
el ganador,
would
como
win.
Roosevelt, que en
Like
otros años era
Roosevelt,
muy
that in
poca
other
la
years there
presencia de
was very few
voluntarios.
people
Hoy
there
tuvo la
present as a
mayor presencia de
volunteers.
voluntarios,
And this
quienes
time they had the
fueron
most
jóvenes,
volunteers and they were
Wow.
young
se atrevieron
people.
a participar.
Wow.
They participated.
Emerson
And Emerson
volvió a estar el principal,
came back, the
que
principal.
era el señor Clark.
Oh, the former principal
Aunque
came
él ya
back,
no
Mr.
es
Clark,
parte
even though he's
de
no longer
Emerson,
part
él
of
sigue
Emerson,
representando a
but
su
he
última
keeps
escuela,
representing his last school.
muy activo en
Very
todo,
active
¿no?
in
Entonces, no
everything.
es solo los que estamos
So it's
presentes,
not
sino
just us that are
los que
here present,
todavía quieren seguir
but the
presentes
ones that
apoyando a sus
want to stay
escuelas.
present with the schools and keep supporting the
Anderson
schools. Anderson
trató de hacer todo su esfuerzo
tried to
para estar
do
ahí.
all of their
Querían un poco más de
effort to
fútbol,
come.
pero
They,
lograron enlazarse los líderes, los
the
maestros, los
leaders and the
jóvenes,
teachers and the young
igual
people
estuvo presente la
Mm.
comunidad Anderson.
and the
Entonces,
Anderson
fue
community
un
was present.
evento en
It
el
was an
Mhm.
que,
event,
a pesar de que fue poco el tiempo de
even though it was
organización,
a little short time
pero
to organize
se
it,
logró hacer un cambio en cada una de las
we made a
escuelas,
change in each of
que
the
estuvieran
schools.
presentes en
Wow.
And they
Copa
were present
Colectiva,
at Copa
poniendo
Colectiva,
su esencia,
putting
su
their essence, their
participación y
participation,
haciendo cambios
and
positivos
making
de lo que ha
positive
sido en los
changes
eventos anteriores a lo que fue
compared
este
to
evento,
how they
pues sí,
participated
es
to
satisfactorio
events in the past. So that was very
ver
satisfactory
que vamos avanzando.
to see that we're
Cada
advancing.
paso, aunque sea
Every step,
pequeño,
even if it's
pero
little,
significa
but it means a lot. Why? Because it's a step to the change, to a difference, and to integration into the community.
Los líderes de cada
The
escuela
leaders of each school permit
eh, que se lleve a cabo el evento y que
that the event happens and that they participate. That's really important.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say it. The changes that each school had during this event.
Thank you, Maria. That really, one thing we'd like to say is, we leave the world better, right? And what you just captured has so many aspects of that. I'll take one more response. And again, what is an event you picture and what do you see visually? One more response.
I'm happy to share. I never want elected officials to be a distraction or be pulling away from the community, but I would love if they were more involved, whether that's on the city council or school board or at the state legislature or senate, if we invited them to our events and they could see and participate and listen to people, maybe that might be one way to get them involved. But I think bringing them into the community might be something to consider. I see that as maybe an opportunity, but I never want it to pull away from like the authenticity of the event.
So a victory would be that we've got elected officials being part of community at the events. Did I capture that all right?
Yep.
Cool. I like that. So all participation. Thank you all. So these are big, big victories. And you've got a history of doing this, right? And you now have your calendars. Molly's so excited about the calendars. They're already out. And we now move to our next portion of the work. I just want to check in with Jenny and Kim if we're good and can continue going on. Kim's got a thumbs up. Great. And
Jenny is dealing with a computer that completely froze.
Okay.
And never happened before. So I am coming back on. So
okay.
you can just keep going.
Beautiful. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we take those, hold on to those things, right? Because we're going to get to work, right? So I asked you to lift yourselves up and be part of just visualizing where you're going and what you see in January. We're now going to shift over. So if we can go to the next slide about our current realities. So let's see here. Make sure we get there. Yep. So in our current reality, we look at a couple of things. We look at a lot of things, and you've said a lot of things in our process, but ideally we get to talk to each other and share what we think our strengths and our benefits are, like what we bring, and you've mentioned some of those, but we also, I should say, and we also look at some of our weaknesses and limitations. And what potentially are some dangers or unintended consequences of our work, right? So we have our calendars, right? We've got our victories, we've got our assignments. And so now I want you to just look at this slide with me. And you can see there's 4 quadrants, right? So 4 that share. And for you all, what I would like to hear is you responding and thinking through these pieces. We created a beautiful vision. And so now let's start with what is one strength of our group that could help us achieve that vision, right? So we're taking what we saw, the big picture, the beautiful vision, and then bringing it to what are we wanting to lift up of our strengths, and what are some of our potential challenges as well.
So the question again is what is one strength of the group that could help us achieve that vision?
Thank you, Kim.
Bueno, creo que es obvio ya después de las introducciones, pero
Well, I think it's obvious after how we introduced ourselves, but to document that we are a good group that represents all of the schools, and more than ever, we represent the language
y la experiencia de vida
and the
de nuestras
experience
escuelas.
of life from our schools.
Reto,
It's always been a
lograr que la
challenge
mayoría hablan
to make
español,
sure
o que la
that the
mayoría son
majority
latinos
speak
empoderados.
Spanish or
Y
empowered Latinos.
somos representativos en todos
And
los
we
Mhm.
are represented. We are represented in all these areas.
Thank you, Molly. And I think someone said it in our victory, for the family, by the family, right? Who else would like to go? Just what is one strength of our group that could help us achieve the victories we talked about? Don't be shy. Just no wrong answers. Yes, Jose.
Em, una de las fortalezas
One of the
que
strengths
tenemos
that we
es
have is,
como padre y
as
miembro de una
parents
comunidad,
and a member of the community,
estamos dispuestos a ofrecer
we
nuestro tiempo,
are
nuestros
ready
talentos
to offer
y
our
nuestras
time
ganas de
and our
mejorar las
talents
condiciones y
and our
garantizar las
efforts
condiciones educativas de
to
nuestros hijos.
guarantee the
No
education
que
of our
otra persona
kids,
lo haga por
not
nosotros.
that somebody else do it for us.
Hmm. Thank you, Jose. We've got a couple of more boxes, so I'd love to hear some other voices. What is one strength of our group that could help us achieve our vision, right? So I've got that we're representative, that we've got time and commitments. What are some other ones? Yes, Jackie.
Otra de las fortalezas,
Another strength,
hay talento,
there's
hay
talent,
habilidades,
there's abilities,
hay
skill,
compromiso.
there's commitment.
Y si existe compromiso
And
y
if there's
servicio,
commitment and service,
pienso que
I think
existe sobre todo el
exists
bien
overall
servir a los demás,
the
a
good to
nuestros
serve
hijos como
others, our
prioridad
kids
y a la
as
comunidad.
priorities, and the community.
Thank you, Jackie. All right.
Muy bien.
Let's move on to what are
Vamos a pasar a, oops,
the
sorry.
weaknesses. That's okay. With the weaknesses or limitations we have that could make it hard for us to achieve our vision. So what are some weaknesses or limitations that could make it hard for us to achieve our vision? Usually no one's shy on this one. It usually is a much longer list. So come on, tell us what you think.
Many of us also have other jobs and kids, so time might be a little hard, but also we prioritize this time, but finding the time might be a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jen. Molly says, todos somos voluntarias, so all of us are volunteers, right?
Sí, y hablando de eso, eso lo hace
Yeah, and
difícil a
talking
veces
about that
tener más
makes it
conexión
hard to
con
have
las
more
escuelas y
connection
los
with the
líderes
schools and the
escolares,
leaders, the school
porque
leaders,
tenemos que
because
hablar con ellos durante
we
el
have
día
to
escolar,
talk
que
to them
también
during
es
the
nuestro
school
día de
day,
trabajo.
which is also our
Entonces,
work
las
time.
relaciones entre
So the
Colectiva y los
relationships
directores,
between
por ejemplo,
colectivas and the
sería más
principals
fuerte si alguien
would be
pudiera
stronger
reunir con
if
ellos
someone
durante su
could
día
meet
laboral.
with them during their work day.
Thank you, Molly. Jackie?
En mi caso,
In my
en
case,
particular,
in
una
particular,
debilidad
a
pienso que es
weakness I
la
think would be
inexperiencia.
the inexperience.
Siento el apoyo,
I feel the support,
pero
but
al no tener
by
experiencia,
not having experience,
y recibo la información,
I get the information.
siento riesgo de
I feel
cometer
the risk
error.
of making a
Entonces,
mistake.
tal vez una debilidad
So maybe
puede
a
ser
weakness could be
el no saber
not knowing
exactamente cómo
exactly
proceder.
how to
Podría ser
proceed.
una
Could be
debilidad.
a weakness.
Thank you, Jackie.
Gracias.
Jose?
Añado a lo que dice Jackie,
Adding to what Jackie said, the cultural problem of empowerment, what Molly referred to, we come with the experience of not feeling
no dominar
empowered and not dominating, how can we say it, the structure, the organizational structures that we have here. So that impedes, along with the language, that I don't feel sufficiently comfortable to do my action or that I have a voice. It's a big weakness in the Latino group when there's a lot of things, stays in the level of service instead of the levels of leaders moving initiatives forward.
Thank you, Jen, Molly, Jackie, and Jose. So if we are to take these two areas and we are so successful at achieving our vision, what might be some challenges that we might have to face? So we're in January, we've got our victories. What are some of the unexpected challenges that might happen to us as Colectiva with such success? Jackie?
Algo que ocurre
Something that happens
en muchas ocasiones, la
in
deserción,
many times
producto de la frustración
is
al no
product of
sentirme
frustration, not feeling
identificada con el
identified
modelo de
with a
acción,
model of
o
action,
tal vez
or maybe
frustración
frustration
al no proveer un
to
buen
not provide a
voluntariado,
good
un buen
volunteer
servicio, entre
or
comillas.
service in quotation
Prefiero dar
marks.
la espalda,
I
desertar,
prefer to
esconderme,
hide, give my
ocultarme,
back, or not
porque,
show my true self.
como decimos
Because, like we
en mi
say
país,
in my
para quedar
country,
mal, tiempo
I
sobra.
there's
Entonces,
plenty of time to be
una
left showing
digamos,
that I didn't complete what I needed to do.
de los riesgos
One of the risks could be
podría ser ese,
that
de que es más fácil huir
it's
que
easier to
afrontar hasta el
hide
final, hasta el último
than
día
than
y hacer las cosas
show
de una
face
buena
and
manera,
do things the
aprender.
right way and to learn and move forward.
Molly, do you have anything you want to add to that? I see you clapping and saying exactly.
Oh, José tiene la mano, pero se lo dijo. Creo que es
Jose has
por eso que no
his
tenemos
hand.
una
I
Okay.
think that's
presidenta en
why
el
we don't
primer año,
have a
presidente en el primer
president
año,
in
uno
their
de
first
nuestros
year
3 espacios
as
vacíos,
one of our
es
open
que este nombre como
position
presidente
space.
como
This
que
name of president
espanta.
scares.
Es que asusta,
It scares people
para quedar mal
Oh,
tiempo
because I
sobra
don't want to do a bad
y
job.
muchas veces
yeah.
tenemos mucho ánimo,
And a lot of times we are we're excited and we want to
pero si
serve,
nos damos cuenta
but if
que
we
estamos haciendo
realize
las
that
cosas
we are
mal,
doing things wrong or
Mhm.
estamos empeorando la
we're
situación,
making things worse
como que estamos estorbando.
or
Nos
that
sentimos
we're
así. Algunas
causing a
personas
problem, we feel
nos
like that.
sentimos así
Mhm.
y
Some of
como
us
que
feel like
tomamos la
this.
decisión
And so
de
we take the decision to
permiso, prefiero no
take
estorbar porque estoy
I
empeorando la
prefer not
situación
to be in the way
siento que
because I'm making
afecto
the situation worse. I
diciéndolo de
feel
esta
I'm
manera
making things
y
stink saying it another way.
permíteme por favor
But
que
allow
realmente
me,
me siento inútil.
please, because I feel like I'm not
No debería
useful.
ser así, pero
I know
no
it shouldn't be
todos
like that, but not everyone
pensamos de la misma manera, no
thinks the
todos
same
tomamos
way.
la
We
situación
don't all take the
o
situation
vemos la
or
situación
see the
desde otra
situation
óptica.
from another viewpoint.
No todos vemos el
We
vaso
don't all
medio vacío.
see the cup
¿Sí?
half empty.
Algunos realmente
Some
nos
of us,
podemos ahogar en
we
una
can
gota de
drown
agua
in a
y,
drop of water.
y
Mm.
está bien, se
And
comprende
it's okay, we
porque todos somos
understand
individuos
because we're
diferentes
all different
y se
individuals
respeta la personalidad
and
de
we
cada quien.
respect each
Por
person's
eso
personality.
es importante
That's why it's
para
important
mí, es
for me,
importante el trabajo
the
hombro a
work
hombro,
shoulder to shoulder,
comprender el modelo de trabajo aplicado aquí
understand the model of work
a
here.
veces es realmente
Sometimes
complicadito, ¿no?
it's very complicated. And to be the work to be a president,
Hay que ponerse bien la camiseta
you have to put your shirt
vaya
on
que
right,
ahora comprendo.
straight. I understand now.
Thank you, Jackie. Jose?
Prefiero que vaya primero Blanca.
Okay, Blanca.
Hola, hola José, muchas gracias. Gracias, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.
Escuchándote, me hace
Thank you.
recordar los
Listening to you
conversatorios que normalmente tienen
reminds
las
me
personas latinas
of
que
the
están mucho más
conversations that
enraizadas en nuestra
Latinos have
cultura. La
that
forma
are
de
more aware
que
of our
hablas tú
culture. The way that you're
habla, en
speaking
verdad, que va mucho más allá de
goes
esta reunión de
further
Zoom. Lo que estás
than
hablando,
this
Jackie, el
meeting at Zoom.
problema
Jackie,
que
what you're
estás
talking about,
indicando acá
what I see you're
es el
mentioning
síndrome del
is
impostor.
the imposter
Este
syndrome,
espacio
this
de
space
educación bilingüe,
of bilingual education
educación bilingüe o lenguaje dual,
or
está
dual language.
enraizado en nuestra cultura, en
It's tied to
nuestra
our
comunidad.
culture and our
El
community.
problema es que te hace
The
sentir que
problem
tú
that makes
estuvieras
you
afuera. No
feel
solamente
that
tú,
you're
Jackie,
outside, not just you,
tú
Jackie.
es general,
This
es de
you is
todos.
general,
No,
it's everyone.
no nos hallamos en ese
We
espacio que
don't
está
find
construido
ourselves
en
in this
nuestra
space
cultura. La
as
forma
a
en
way
que
that's
conversas tú, que
constructed
deberíamos
in
estar
our
conversando, es esa
culture.
forma.
The way you are
Es bastante
communicating is the
vulnerable.
way we should
Y
communicate. It sounds very
síndrome del
vulnerable.
impostor
This imposter
hace que
syndrome
no,
makes
Right.
is,
y me incluyo,
and I include myself,
que nos sintamos que
that we
estamos
sit,
fuera del lugar
feel that
y
we're
no
out of
tenemos que aportar, pero
place
que
and we don't have
todo
to
lo
do
contrario,
this. But it's
todo lo
all to the
contrario, especialmente
contrary to
en
that.
esos momentos que dice Jackie que pensamos que la
That
estamos
Jackie
regando,
says that we feel like
especialmente en
we're
esos
drowning.
momentos,
It's
porque
in those
el
moments
crecimiento
that the growth
comienza con
begins
incertidumbre.
with uncertainty.
Así que creo que ese es uno de los problemas,
I think
especialmente con
that's
la
one of the
gentrificación,
problems.
La gentrificación de estos
The,
programas
the
duales hace sentir
gentrification
que
of
somos
these
outsiders.
dual
Eso es
programs make
realidad.
us
Y ese
feel
es un
like
gran
we're
problema.
outsiders.
Y personas como todas las personas que están acá,
Like
es
all the
parte de la
people that are
comunidad
here,
latina, tienen
the
muchísimo que
Latino
aportar
community, they
de
have a
las
lot
cosas que hemos
to
vivido
add
allá en
of the
Latinoamérica,
things that we have
de las
lived
cosas que
in
funcionan allá en
Latino America,
Latinoamérica y
things
tenemos
that
que
work over
traer
there that
más
we
que
have to
nunca esa
bring
cultura
here,
al forefront
bring
de
it
lo
to
que
the
estamos
forefront
haciendo.
of what we're
Así
doing.
que yo creo que es eso.
I think that's what it is. It's the imposter, the culture of the imposter. What we bring, our knowledge is not valued. And so we have to combat
Gracias,
that.
Blanca.
Thank you,
Justamente
Blanca.
mi punto es
My
relacionado, pero
point was
con la
related
estructura de las
with the
escuelas.
Great.
structure of the schools.
Nosotros hemos
We
observado que
have
navegar la
observed to
cultura
navigate
y las
the
estructuras de
culture
las
and the
escuelas
structure
es
of the schools.
imposible
It's
para el latino
impossible for
y mucho
Latinos
más en la
and
escuela
many more,
pública.
much
Por
more in
eso
the public
muchos
school.
latinos prefieren
That's why
educación
many
privada, porque es más
Latinos
fácil
prefer
conectar con
private school.
los
It's
maestros, hay
easier to
una
connect with the
manera
teachers.
personalizada
There's a
de trabajar,
personalized way
mientras
of
que en nuestra
working,
cultura
while
de
our
escuela,
culture,
el
school
padre
culture, the parent,
se supone que nunca debería estar ahí.
it feels like we should never
Entonces,
be there.
nosotros, y este
So
es el peligro
we,
que
and this
tiene
is the
Colectiva,
danger
de
that Colectiva has,
romper esas
is to
barreras
break those barriers
de que los padres
that the
tienen que
parents
meterse
need to
o
be
estar
there
presente,
and be present
incluso en diálogo con el principal o
in
con el
conversation
o cualquier
with the
representante de la
principal
escuela
or the
y
teachers
mucho
or
menos
any
en el
other
salón.
school
Esa es la
representative, and
cultura
less
grande
in the
que hay que romper.
classroom.
Entonces, ese es
That's
nuestro gran
the what we
desafío
need to
y uno
break.
de los
So
desafíos primero es
one of
entrar
our
en diálogo con,
things that we need to do
con
is
los
to
directores y los
be
agentes que
in
están
conversation with the
representando la
principal,
escuela
the
para la
ones that are
comunidad.
representing the
No hay
school for the
tiempo,
community.
ha dicho
There's no
Molly
time.
anteriormente, pero
Well,
sobre
we've
todo
heard
es esa
there's
barrera
no time,
invisible de que
but it's that invisible barrier
nosotros somos los
that
que hacemos la
we
educación, los
are
padres
what we
simplemente
do in
mandan los hijos.
education, and the parents
Y
just send their kids.
esa es una cultura que,
That's a
como ha dicho
culture,
Blanca,
like Blanca has said,
reenforza este síndrome del
reinforces
impostor que ha
this
referido ella
imposter
y que
syndrome that she
nosotros, como
referred to.
dijo Jackie,
That
pues
we, like Jackie said,
es menos doloroso
it's less
apartarse que
painful to
romper
just
esa
step
barrera
away
invisible.
than to break that
Es
impossible
más
barrier.
fácil para
It's
nosotros decir,
easier
bueno,
for
es
us to
verdad,
say,
yo no hago
well,
nada
it's
aquí,
true, I don't do anything
dejo
here.
a quien sabe, que
I'll
son
leave it
a
to
los güeros,
whoever,
como dicen
to
mexicanamente,
the
y en este caso los maestros y
Anglos or the
directores.
teachers or the
Pero algo que yo
principals.
traigo acá es
But
que
something I
yo
bring
soy
here is
el propietario, si se puede decir así,
I
de mi niño,
am
de mi niña.
the
Donde él
owner
va,
of
ahí voy yo.
my child. Where he goes, I go.
Well, and it's also a part of being courageous, right? Each of you have a courage that you've shared in even the name of this organization, Colectiva, right? Is that you're not alone. And that I think the mentorship and the support space you've brought also leads to some realities that you can push through, as you've said. And I appreciate everyone sharing what you've contributed to what would be our current reality. I just want to lift up in terms of, are there any benefits that you have not mentioned based on our success and our vision? Like, what are the benefits of the events and this group that you have not shared or lifted?
¿Qué quiere decir con los beneficios de los eventos?
What do you mean by the benefits of the events?
Yeah, so you've shared in terms of some of the challenges, right? There's limited time, that you have a structure that doesn't celebrate cultura, right? What are the benefits? Like, why are you, thinking through the events and success, right? If we are very successful, what other opportunities does it open for? Not only you, but the community. Does that answer your question? Like, what are the positive benefits of you having the copa, the Dia de los Muertos, right? And of reaching your vision, right? Of all the things we said earlier. I'll go with Jackie, and then Jose, and then Molly.
A ver, Por el tema de
On the
beneficios,
topic of benefits,
específicamente el evento de
specifically the event
el Día
of
de los Muertos.
Day of the Dead,
El tema de enriquecimiento
the
cultural
cultural enrichment
abismal porque se trae a la escuela
is small because it brings to the school to share traditions,
cultura,
culture,
y no solamente
and not
se
just
abren
that,
las puertas
but it
para
opens the
poder
doors to be able
conocer
to get
y
to know
compartir
and
con las
share with
familias.
the families.
Entonces es la oportunidad
So it's the
que tengo
opportunity
yo como
that
madre,
I
que
have
tengo
as a
como
mother,
familia,
as a
de
family,
conocer a
to
los
get to know
padres,
the
a
parents
los, sí, a los padres de los compañeros de mi
of
hijo, de mi
my
hija. Y es el
children's
momento realmente de
classmates.
compartir, de
It's a
conocer un
time
poco más
to
a la maestra,
share
porque también
and to
acude la
get to
maestra.
know the teacher a
Y es
little
el
bit.
momento que tengo para poder
It's the
compartir
time that
las
I have to
instalaciones
share of the exhibits
de la escuela
in the
y saber
school
cómo mi
and
hijo se
know
desenvuelve
how
junto
my
a su grupo
child
de
is
compañeros,
evolving
saber realmente
with
cómo es la
their
relación.
students, to see how their relationship is.
Entonces,
Yes.
soy colombiana,
I'm
mi esposo
Colombian,
ecuatoriano,
my husband's
conozco la tradición,
Ecuadorian. I know the
pero
tradition,
mi hijo
but
tiene
my
amigos que
child has
son
friends who
americanos
are
y
American,
ellos están
and
conociendo esta
they
tradición
are
y mi
learning
hijo
about
puede
these
conversarles,
traditions, and my
mira,
son
esto
can talk
hacemos
to
en
him. Look,
Ecuador,
we do
es
this
una
in
tradición
Ecuador. It's
ecuatoriana,
a
es del Día de Muertos
Ecuadorian
y
tradition for
nosotros,
Day
por
of the Dead.
supuesto, conversamos
We
y les
talk
dejamos
about,
saber qué es lo que se
let
hace.
them know
Entonces
what
es
we
un
do.
compartir
So it's
y los
something that we
beneficios, por
share. The
supuesto, pues
benefits are
ya los he mencionado. Entonces
what I
enriquece
said.
muchísimo
So it
culturalmente.
enriches culturally a
Mhm.
lot.
Thank you. That so well said, Jackie. Thank you. Does anyone have other things they would want to add that are different than what she just shared?
Voy a mencionar, por ejemplo, como
I will say
el beneficio
the benefit
de estar empujando
to
la
push
barrera
the barrier
de imposibilidades que
of
tenemos de hacer algo
impossibilities that we have to do something
entre un sueño
between a dream
y las debilidades que tenemos de
and the
hacerlo y
weakness
los
that we
peligros
have of
o
doing it,
dificultades que tenemos
and
es que dejamos
the
un
danger of doing it
precedente
is that
para
we
la
leave a
persona
precedent.
que viene después diciendo,
The
oh, pero
person
aquí
that
se pudo
comes
mover un
after,
poquito
well, we could move it
esta
a little bit,
barrera o estas
this barrier,
dificultades.
This
Me
things that are
encantaría seguir
hard. I would
empujando
love
o
to keep
seguir
pushing
moviendo
or
como
keep
él
moving
o
like
ella.
him
Entonces,
or
esto
her.
es lo que está haciendo
So this
Colectiva
is what
como
Colectiva is
movimiento
doing as a movement,
comunitario de padres
as a
envueltos en la
community
educación de
movement
sus hijos.
of
Estamos
parents involved in
moviendo
the education of their children. We're
estas
moving
barreras
these
entre
barriers
educación,
between education,
cultura y
culture,
estructuras,
and
y la
structures,
comunidad está
and the
observando estos
community
logros
is
y estos
observing
beneficios. Y por
these
eso,
changes.
aunque es difícil
Even though
y
it's hard
problemático,
and problematic,
por cada una de las cosas de
for
debilidades
each
que
one
mencionamos,
of the
todavía se ve
weaknesses that we
un
mentioned,
beneficio en
it's
ese,
still a
en ese
benefit.
alcance.
Thank you, Jose. Molly?
I'm consciously moving to the English channel to say this because it's very much
Yo quiero
connected.
pasarme al canal de inglés.
So, Aida,
Oh, sorry,
Español. I know I'm confusing you, right? Okay. Because it's very much in the English part of my brain. And I think this is what makes being a president so traditional, like culturally embedded, is that a huge benefit is that we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And that allows us to access funds in a way that schools can't access, in a way that PTOs that are just like, we are the fiscal sponsor for 5 schools. That allows those 5 schools to not be embedded in their identity of being money givers. It allows the 5 schools to be real organizations and alleviate some of the burden of being responsible to the IRS, because Colectiva can do that.
Yeah.
And I think it just opens up a more expansive way of thinking collectively not just what my child needs and how I can give money for my child's yearbook, but how can I think of what's good for all children in our 5-school network through Colectiva being a fiscal sponsor. And we've had so much success. I mean, it's crazy how 90% of the grants that we've written, and we've only been at this for 2 years and have only used volunteer grant writers. I'm not trained in this. We've received 90% of the grants that we've applied for. And that's crazy talk. Like that never happens. So people want to support us.
Wow. What a celebration and reflection of the commitment, not just with everyone at this table, but beyond. Thank you, Molly. I'm going to move us along so we can catch up a little bit. So, Jenny, I'm going to check in with you and ask if we need to take a break now or do we continue? Because I know we've shifted in some of our time.
Do you want to check in with the group? I think yeah, we've been together an hour and a half. I think it would be good to take, can we take a 10-minute break?
Quería mencionar algo.
I'd like to say something.
Yeah, Gloria, go ahead.
Mire, también creo que se olvidó una.
I think we forgot a part of the danger. The benefit for me was become aware that there was things that can affect the health of my child. That's what made me get involved more. Remembering situation that I didn't take care of my kids that happened in another school. It's called Anderson, that was in the past. The school of my daughter. They almost took her. That made me remember when I saw the situation of the boy that got sick and become closer and verify what is the environment within the school like. And now with what's going on, that we're in a crisis with our caregivers who are older, that we know who's taking care of the town. It affects our children, our community. It affects me. Makes me remember different situations. So mental health, because social workers have come and they've given us advice. To see if you have a case to go over, if there's an emergency where your children should stay and be safe, that's a benefit. And I think this supports a lot the families and the schools, and I include doing this for the benefit of the kids, to benefit our kids. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you for lifting that. So Blanca, I see your hand up, so I want to make sure, is there something else you would like to add before we close out this section? Okay.
Mi pregunta para ti, Celina.
Yes, this is a question for you, Celina. What are the benefits about the events? I think Gloria gave an excellent example. It goes much further than the events. What are the dangers? We've talked about the success of the events, Day of the Dead, Copa, but at those moments,
no recuerdo quién.
I can't recall who said.
No, no era Jenny. Bien, creo que no está. No, Jackie. En esos momentos sí se escucha.
At those times we hear
comunicación con los padres, conocimiento.
Getting to know the parents and a lot of good, but
el tema del liderazgo que estaba hablando.
The leadership that Jose was talking about, that's the moment that we need more support.
Podría llamarse entrenamiento para los
and we could say like training for the parents so they can become leaders.
They don't back down cada vez que puedan.
So they don't back down every time you can speak with the teachers. To feel more secure.
Directores de las escuelas que seguro
the principals
disfruten de los eventos, pero a la hora de
It's true
conversar
that
estos
they
temas que habló, por ejemplo,
enjoy
Gloria,
the events,
de
but
la
when
salud mental de los
what
estudiantes,
Gloria
la
talked
protección de
about,
la
the
comunidad,
protection of the
necesitas no
community, mental
solamente
health,
los niños individualmente,
it's
sino de
not
toda la
just the
comunidad.
kids, but it's the whole community.
Entonces va más allá
So
de
it
los
goes
eventos,
much more
de las
than
cosas
just the events.
que en muchas maneras es una
There's many
validación
ways it's a
de que
validation
somos humanos y se
that
nos
we are
cree
human
y la gente disfruta.
and
Pero
the people
las
enjoy,
voces de la comunidad
but the
latina no son
voice of
escuchadas
the
cuando
Latin
en el
community
momento
are
de la
not
defensa.
heard at the time of
Creo que ese es uno de
advocacy.
los peligros.
I
Se
think
nos
that's one
escucha
of
en
the
unas
dangers.
partes cuando hablamos de
They
nuestros
hear us
puertos,
when
de
we
nuestras
talk about
comidas, de
our
nuestro folclore,
food and
pero
our
cuando hablamos de
culture,
nuestras necesidades
but
y
when
nuestro
we talk
aporte,
about our
ahí
needs,
sí ya nos escuchan.
and then
Y
we're
ese es el
not
gran
heard.
problema. Por eso
And
no voy
that's
a
a
hacer la
big problem.
distinción entre
So I don't want to make the
en eventos sí
distinction
nos
between
escuchan, ¿no?
events.
¿Quién no quiere comer tamales? ¿O
Who
quién
doesn't
no
want to
quiere
eat a
comer
tamal
hamburguesas? Y ahí
or
sí somos,
pupusas?
ahí sí somos buenas.
There we're
Pero
good.
cuando nosotros aportamos
But when
nuestros
we
conocimientos y alzamos la
try
voz
to
en
share
defensa,
our
ahí sí.
thoughts and need
Entonces,
Es verdad,
advocacy,
Blanca. Y
it's
hay
not
muchas
there.
personas, hasta en la encuesta de Copa,
That's true. And
que
even a
dicen,
lot of
¿por qué
people
no
in our
simplemente van a
encuesta of
sus
Copa
inicios y
didn't
concentran
say,
en
why
eventos?
don't they just
Están haciendo
go
demasiado.
to your
Están
events? You're
haciendo
doing a
demasiado.
lot.
pero está mal. O sea, no
But
somos
that's
más
wrong.
que, no somos más que fútbol y tamales
We're more than
y
football,
calavera de Día de
soccer,
Muertos.
and tamales
Somos
and
Cultura de
Dia de los
servicio,
Muertos.
solo la cultura de
We're a
servicio,
culture of service,
no de
Es,
liderazgo.
not
es
of
como
leadership.
ahora lo que está hablando con tanta
It's like
deformación,
he
¿no?
who's
A los
speaking
mexicanos los
about
quieren con
all
sus
the
tacos, pero no quieren los
reports.
mexicanos aquí.
They don't want the
Y eso se
Mexicans here, but they want
reproduce
their tacos.
en la forma en que la
And
comunidad
that
latina
is
es
produced in the
percibida
way
acá. Somos
how the
buenísimos para ver,
Latino
pero no para escuchar.
community is viewed here. They're nice
Ya se ve
to
que
see,
este
but
no es
not to listen to.
simplemente
We can
mi
see that
niño,
this is not
sino es
just
algo
my
mucho más
child.
grande. Estamos
It's
afectando
bigger than that. We
unas
are
estructuras
affecting
culturales
a
que,
cultural
como
structure,
hemos dicho en
like
tiempos
we've
anteriores,
said,
ha sido
like
siempre de
times past.
deficiencia.
It's
No
always
nos
been a
miran como lo que
deficiency.
somos
They
realmente,
don't see
personas
us
con
what we are,
capacidades de
people
dar muchas
with
cosas en diferentes áreas.
capabilities to give in a
Porque
lot
al
of
final,
different areas.
tus niños son mis niños.
Your kids are my kids.
Thank you, everyone.
Ustedes no quieren tomar un descanso.
No, no, they don't. You don't. The space is so important for so many reasons. Not just, like you said, for events, but also for breaking down barriers and removing assumptions about our community, right? And that we are able to take that bridge that you're building through the work that you all are planning to open the doors to real meetings, right? To advocate for your child, to be able to think about where their future lies in community with those who are teaching them, right? That's, a lot of the big picture. I'm going to take a pause here. I know we could keep going, but we have lots to cover. And so we're going to take a 10-minute break. And in this break, I'd like for you to think about, based on our vision, like our success and some of the realities we're facing, what are the commitments that we will bring to the table as we prepare to plan for the next 6 months? So what are the commitments you will bring to the table as we go through our next activity, which is the commitments? All right, so you can exit or you can just turn your cameras off and mute. We have 10 minutes. It's 10:38, so we will be back at 10:48. All right, we'll see you in a little while. Thank you all.
I don't know.
Para Elena y Brisa que estaban de unir, quizás después de un descanso.
And Elena and Brisa, who just joined,
Just
I
joined.
left a link of the calendars in the chat if you want to look them over. But everyone else, please take a break.
Thank you. Thank you, Molly.
Molly, you're the host for this meeting, I think. Would you be able to set up a small breakout group for Celina and Jenny and I? Thank you. And also, I guess if you want to make one of us co-host, we can
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Kim, I'll be back in just 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. See the breakout room? Yeah. Okay, great. I'm going to pause.
We get it. We're now moving into our next section, which is part of getting us geared up to drilling down into our committees and to the events. And thank you everyone for what you've shared. If we can share screen and go to slide 18, we are going to be focusing on commitments. You've identified factors that will help our current reality. So this was the reality that we talked through. And we are now going to spend some time actually committing ourselves to what we believe are commitments and promises to work together. So over the next 6 months, right? So we're starting in June, we're going to keep going. You'll probably go beyond December. We are going to define our commitments so that we have a successful victory accomplishments that we talked about earlier. So I'd like for you to think through on your own for a brief moment. And let's go back to the victory section to read through what we said we would do. So in terms of what we defined as victory, I'm just going to pause here and read a couple of things. So solidarity, empathy, empowered leaders, commitment to reach objectives, more communication, more people involved, more participation than before, that we are united, not necessarily separate as a program, that people leave with smiles. And from this, we move to our current reality. And within the current reality, we see some themes emerging as we think through what are our strengths. We have talent. We have a commitment of time, even though it's limited. We have representation from all the schools, right? So time representation has been a very important theme. Some of our challenges are also time, but also being in an uncomfortable place as we navigate the school system. And then that we're all volunteers, right? So those are areas of what we have shared as strengths and limitations. We then have on our benefits and dangers where we spent a good amount of time reflecting on how we see those consequences and benefits. So that it's scary to be in leadership, that there may be times where the situation is not as positive as the events, right? That we feel many times as outsiders and that our voices may not be heard, maybe only through these events, but we want them beyond the events. That you're growing as leaders and as parents and as part of the community, and that you are understanding and wanting to be part of a system that is helping your children grow. So these are the current realities, just sitting here as you read through them all together. Just letting you read through this. And as we read through these, being able to think through what are our commitments and our promises to each other as we prepare. Can anyone share what they think are themes that need to be a focus of the planning in the next 6 months? So based on what we've seen in the victory and the current reality, what do you suggest are the key themes that need to be a focus of planning in the next 6 months? Jose.
Gracias.
Thank you.
De acuerdo a como observo
What
Colectiva
how
como
I see
un grupo que
Colectiva
tiene
as a
mucha
group
potencia
that has a lot of
y
potential
mucha, eh, vamos a decirlo así, oportunidades
and
de
many
crecer y pero también
opportunities to grow
de balancear
and to
como
balance
entre
how
lo que
between
somos y lo
what
que
we
podremos
are
ser.
and what we can
Una de las
be.
cosas que he observado
One of the
desde el
things that I've
comienzo de
observed
Colectiva en el
since the beginning of
2021
Colectiva in
hasta
2021
ahora es el
up until
crecimiento
now
que ha
is the
hecho y
growth that we've
cómo ha
done.
sido
And it has
una
been
especie así como, no de
a
desbalance, pero
way,
sí
not a,
como
a
de acomodación
unequal
en el
equilibrium,
proceso
but just
de identificarse colectiva como a
identifying
sí misma, como
Colectiva
institución
itself as an
o
institution
organización
or organization
para sí misma.
for
Ha ido
itself.
aprendiendo como a descubrirse
And
qué es
learning
colectiva.
and
Entonces,
discovering
en
who
este
is
proceso
Colectiva.
de
In this process
autorreconocimiento de sí misma
of
como
being
organización,
self-aware as an
hay que buscar
organization,
el
we have
balance
to
entre
find the balance
los
between
orígenes
the
y
origins
hasta dónde estamos,
and where we are,
para que nuestras metas
so that our goals
iniciales, los
and our initial
recursos, que
goals
son
that
nuestros niños dentro de las escuelas, todavía
began
sigan
all
siendo
this, our
prioridades
kids in the
y cómo
schools,
estrechar
continue to be a
más
priority, and
la
how to stretch
colaboración
the
en la
collaboration
comunidad
in the community,
educativa en sí, en
educational
cada
community
escuela.
in each
Hasta
school.
ahorita,
Up
la
until
parte
now,
que más
the part
me
that
inquieta es que
makes me
Colectiva se ha
uncomfortable is
convertido
that
para las
Colectiva
escuelas
has become for the
como
schools as
un elemento incómodo.
as an
Hay muchas personas que
uncomfortable
todavía
element.
nos
There's many
aceptan muy bien
people.
y hay otros que,
There's
oh,
some people that accept us and some that,
eso de
oh,
Colectiva, ok,
Colectiva.
ya sé a
Oh,
qué
that's
viene.
Colectiva. I know why you're
Entonces,
here.
es tan así que
They're
nos
like
han hecho
this.
responsables
They've made us responsible
equivocadamente del despido de una
and
principal. Y nosotros, como colectiva,
not
nunca estuvimos
correctly.
pendiente o
We've
presente
never
en
had
esa
present
situación.
in that
Al contrario,
situation.
trabajamos con
In the
ella para
contrary, we
resolver
work
problemas
to resolve problems
propia de la escuela
of
en
the
su
school
momento y de
at their
situaciones
time and
que tuvimos que
situations
llamar a
that
la
we've
comunidad
had
entera a
to
participar en
tell the
solucionar un
whole
problema
community
determinado que
to
surgió
come together and
en su
solve
tiempo.
that
Entonces,
happened in
ese
its
como
time.
desnivel entre
So
sí
that,
amo colectiva y
yeah,
odio
we're
colectiva,
called Colectiva
tenemos
and
que
I
encontrar un
hate
balance
Colectiva. We have to
dentro de las
find a balance
instituciones que estamos
within the
sirviendo. ¿Por qué?
institutions
Porque
that we are
tenemos
serving.
maestros que
We have
sí
teachers
entienden nuestro papel
that they
y otros que
understand our role and others
no lo entienden y
that
no
don't
lo quieren
understand
entender.
it and don't want
Porque
to understand
somos
it
los padres
because we're the
y ellos no quieren
parents
los padres
and they don't want
envueltos
the
en la escuela.
parents involved in the
Porque
school
ha sido tradicionalmente que nosotros los
because they've
maestros
said,
somos
we,
los que
the
sabemos
teachers, we are the
y
ones that
ustedes se
know.
quedan allá.
You stay over there.
Cuando su niño está en la clase,
When
en su casa, usted le
your
manda. Aquí mandamos
child are at
nosotros, usted no
home,
viene a opinar
you are
aquí.
in charge. But
Y
when
eso es lo
they're at
que
school,
se
we are in
observa de
charge.
alguna manera
And
u
that's
otra
what we
con
observe in
Colectiva.
one way or
No
another with
una
Colectiva.
institución que
Not an
viene
institution that
a hacer
comes
su trabajo
to do
mucho
their
más
work
eficaz
more
o
efficiently
ser como una herramienta para
or be a
ellos,
tool for them,
sino como
but
nos
more
viene a quitar
as they
quitar
come to
tiempo
take
o
away
quitar
our time.
trabajo. Entonces, reconciliar
So to
esa
reconciliate
situación
that
es una de
situation
las cosas que
is one of the things
sería mi
that
anhelo,
would
porque nosotros
be
seríamos
my
más
goal,
fuertes
because we
si
would be even
tuviéramos
more strong
más maestros
if we had
envueltos en
more
Colectiva,
teachers involved
porque
in
sí se
Colectiva,
siente
because
así
it
la
does feel
colaboración y la
the
participación de
collaboration
la
and
comunidad que
participation
realmente
of the
representamos.
community that we represent.
Entonces, para mí sería
For me,
sumamente
it would
bonito
be
si
very
logremos
nice
eso en
if
este
we
año.
achieve that in this year.
So if I, thank you, Jose. When I think about your reflection, is it fair to say that as a group, you will commit to finding a way to interact or bring teachers into the process? Right? Yeah. Okay. So that it feels more connected.
Absolutely, sí, así es. Tenemos
Yeah, exactly.
maestros que han
We have teachers that have
pero
participated, but
vamos a decirlo así, por
let's say it this way,
manera de comprender
by
cuál es
the
el
way of
papel que debe tener
understanding
Colectiva,
what is the role
se
Colectiva should
se han
have.
desligado.
They
Otros que
have
tienen miedo por la cantidad de actividades que
unconnected.
hacemos, que
Others are
sería
scared of all the
duplicarle
activities that
a
we're doing
ellos
to make more work for them.
el trabajo.
Mm-hmm.
Entonces, todo hay un montón
So
de
there's a lot
sentimiento y
of feelings
resentimiento
and
back and
resentments
forth en
back
esa
and
realidad
forth in that
de interacción.
reality of interaction.
Otro que institucionalmente
Another,
nosotros somos problemas
institutionally,
y
they
para
think of
otros
us as the
somos
problem,
soluciones.
and for others, they think of us
Entonces,
as
cada escuela
solutions.
tiene su
Every
propia
Right.
school
realidad
has
y
their own
representa
reality,
esas
and they
Right.
represent
incomodidades
those
que estoy mencionando diferentes.
uncomfortable things that I'm mentioning
Entonces,
differently.
cada
Mm-hmm.
y por ejemplo, vamos a decir que
For
yo tengo
example,
una manera de
I have
aceptación
one way
diferente
to do things
que
that's
la que tiene
differently
Molly o la que
the
tiene
way
cualquiera de
Molly
los otros
does
compañeros
or any
que
other
están
of
muy
my other
envueltos en
colleagues who are
actividades
very
dentro de las
involved in
escuelas.
activities in the
Entonces,
schools. So
algo que debo mencionar, yo
something I
trabajo
should
dentro de la
mention,
escuela
I work in the
como
school
staff de support
as a support staff,
y trabajar esas dos dimensiones
and to
me
work those
ayuda
two
mucho a
roles
entender
helps me a lot to
las
understand
posiciones de
the
muchos de ellos,
position of
pero
many of the
también
teachers, but
las
also
misconcepciones
the
que
misconception
tienen en esas posturas.
that they
Entonces,
have in those
yo quiero servir como de
roles.
puente en
I want
esas
to be the
dimensiones
bridge
y
in
que la
those
mayoría de los que
areas.
estamos acá también hagan lo
Most of
mismo.
us
Tenemos un grupo bastante
also
bonito
do the same. We
y
have
yo
a
tengo
really
mucha
nice group,
esperanza para lograr
and I have a lot of hope
ese reencuentro.
to be able to reach that re connecting.
Thank you, Jose. Can we hear from others? So we've got increased teacher involvement, bring teachers into the Colectiva process so it feels more collaborative, right? Who else would like to give what is a commitment over the next 6 months so that we achieve our victory? So try to be as specific as possible so that helps us stay accountable to what it is.
Creo que para mí una clara
I think for me, a clear plan of transition of leadership. I'm committed
para hacer lo necesario para
to
que
disappear enough so that Jose and Amy
tengan el
can
liderazgo como pasar la
be the
batuta,
leadership,
pero
like
quiero
pass the
hacerlo de manera
torch.
consciente,
But I want to do it in a
ni
conscious
demasiado
way,
rápido, ni
not
demasiado
too
lento.
fast and not too
Estoy
slow.
aquí para apoyar, pero no
I'm here to
quiero
support,
que alguien se
but
siente como la
I
sombra.
don't want someone to feel like I'm overshadowing them.
So passing the baton but being available. Uh, Thank you, Molly. Over the next 6 months, Molly promises to do that. So as a group, we commit to creating a clear transition plan and being transparent about it. It sounds like what you also mentioned, Molly. That's great. Others, what commitments will you bring to our process over the next 6 months to achieve victory? Jackie.
Bueno, uno de mis compromisos como líder,
Well, one of my commitments as a leader, as a
sorry,
representative,
as a leader and representative,
enrolar más, bueno, como líder.
Okay, as leader and representative,
yes,
to get more parents involved in Las Estrellas,
Todas las actividades
for all the activities that we have
ya programadas con Colectiva.
that we already have organized with Colectiva and continue to involve the
Para
parents
que realmente despierten ese
so
ánimo
they
y no
wake
solamente
up
sea una
that
interacción
desire, not
cuando
just
sus
be an
niños se
interaction
presentan
when their
en la noche
kids
de talentos o
are there
cuando
at
sus
talent
niños
show night
solicitan ir a cines, sino que sea una
or
interacción
that there's
que
an
siempre,
interaction
que estén conectados
consistent,
con la
that they're
escuela,
connected
con
with the
Colectiva,
school,
que
with
sea un ánimo
Colectiva,
de grupo.
that it's a group
Quiero
effort.
tener un team Las
I want
Estrellas,
to
un team
have
fuerte.
a Las
Entonces voy a
Estrellas
empezar a
team that is
enrolar
strong. So I'm going to start
padres
to
para que
find parents.
cuando hagamos un llamado
So
de
when we do a
cine,
call for movie
tengamos
night,
voluntarios
we have
extra.
volunteers
Y de
that
la
are extra.
Copa tengamos voluntarios
Copa,
extra.
we have
Y
extra
de Rise Up
volunteers. And
tengamos
Rise
voluntarios
Up,
extra.
we have extra
Que no sobren
volunteers.
personas.
So that we
Ese
have too many
es
people.
mi compromiso.
That's my commitment.
So is it a commitment that we all can agree upon over the next 6 months? We want to increase parent involvement, not just in the events, but in Colectiva, right? I see some head nods, so I'm going to say yes. Thank you so much. Maria.
Ok, yo soy representante
I
de
represent Roosevelt.
y mi compromiso
My
es
commitment
seguir
is keep
trabajando
working
para abrir los lazos de
to
comunicación entre
open
la
the
escuela y la comunidad
communication
y tratar de
ways
integrar a nuestra
with the
comunidad
community and
latina
try to
en
integrate the
lo que
Latino
conlleva la
community
escuela.
in what the school
Al
is doing.
final, la meta de Colectiva es trabajar por el
Goal
bien
for
común de
Colectiva
nuestros
is to
niños,
work for the good of our
que sí,
students.
nuestros niños son nuestro mayor
Our
motivo
kids are
y
our
debemos de trabajar
biggest
por ellos.
motivation and we should work for them.
Como mencionaba el señor José,
Like Ms.
probablemente
Jose said,
haya ideas erróneas sobre Colectiva o
maybe there
opiniones
are
negativas sobre Colectiva,
misconceptions about Colectiva,
pero yo
or
creo y considero que con
but
palabras
I think with
no
words
podremos cambiar esas opiniones,
we can
sino
change
con
those.
hechos,
We can't
y
change
es
those things.
trabajando
We have
todos en
to show
equipo
them
como lo hemos estado
Mhm.
haciendo.
and work
En este
with our kids
caso,
like we've been doing.
de la principal que mencionaban que se
The
vio
principal
afectada por
that was
ciertas decisiones que
affected by
tomamos los
certain
padres, y
decisions
me
that the
incluyo,
parents
tomamos
make,
porque yo fui parte de,
and me
fue
too,
en
because I was
Anderson,
one of them that was at
y
Anderson.
después de tanto luchar,
And
pues se
after
creyó
that,
necesario hacer un
but
cambio, y yo
we
puedo
needed a
decirles que ese
change,
cambio fue
and I
para
can
bien,
tell you that change was for
porque
the
la
good
escuela mejoró
because the
bastante.
school
Tan
improved a
así
lot.
que
Hmm.
a pesar de que esa escuela se había negado a
Even
permitir que
though
los
that
padres
school
entráramos
didn't
como
want
voluntarios
the parents there as
y se
volunteers,
mantenían herméticos a no permitir que
they
alguien
didn't
ajeno a
want
la
to let
escuela tuviera
anyone
acceso,
outside the school
hoy
have
por hoy lo han
access.
permitido
Now they
y
have,
les puedo decir
and I can
con
tell you
hechos que creo que he logrado cambiar un poquito la
think
perspectiva de que
we've
no, como
changed the
padres no
perspective a
llegamos
little bit.
a
As
invadir,
parents, we don't
no
come to
somos sus
invade.
enemigos, ni
We're not
tampoco estamos ahí para
enemies,
juzgarlos,
and we're not
sino
there
al
to spy
contrario,
on
para hacer
them,
equipo con ellos
but we
y
are there to
trabajar
be a
juntos.
team with them
Y
and
yo
to
estuve
work with
apoyando
them.
una
I was
clase de
supporting a
ciencia y
class,
la
a
verdad
science class,
vi
and I
el gran
saw
cambio,
the big
el
change.
profesor
The
dio un
teacher,
gran cambio, incluso los
I saw a big
alumnos
change in the
no
students.
me recibieron con barreras, sino
They
al
didn't
contrario,
receive me with
pues al principio
barriers.
fue algo extraño, ¿no? De
At
cómo un
first, it was
papá
kind of
está aquí
weird.
en la
How is a
clase,
parent here in the class?
pero al final
But in the end,
fue un cambio muy positivo.
it was a
Fue un
very
cambio
positive
muy
change.
positivo. Yo soy una mamá, soy ama
I'm
de
a mom.
casa y
I'm a
el hecho de
homemaker,
que los niños me dijeran
and that the
maestra,
kids would call me
miss,
teacher to me,
me elevó el ego.
it made me
Pero
feel so
se
good.
logró, para mí fue un
For
gran
me,
cambio
it was a big change.
y con el que pude
Beautiful.
demostrarle a los
And
principales,
I
a
could
los
show the
maestros
principals
y
and
en
the
sí a la
teachers
comunidad Anderson
and the community at Anderson
que como mamá,
that as
como
mother,
comunidad, como
as
colectiva,
community, as
como lo
Colectiva,
que soy,
that's what
no
I
estoy
am.
para juzgar ni
I'm
para
not there
decirles
to
cómo hacer su
spy on
trabajo,
them or tell them how to do their work,
pero sí decirles
but
que
to
no
tell
estén
them
solos,
that they're not alone,
que
Right.
pueden apoyarse y
that
para que su
we
trabajo
can
sea un poco
support
más
them
ligero,
so
menos
that their work can be a
estresante
little bit faster,
y
a
se
little less
pueda brindar
stressful,
una mejor educación
and
a
they can give
nuestros
a better
hijos
education to our
eh,
kids.
Right.
y finalmente mejorar la calidad académica, ¿no? Entonces,
And
si eso
improve
se pudo
the
lograr en
quality
Anderson,
of
sí
the
fue un gran
education. And if
paso
we could do that in Anderson, that was a
y
big step.
demás. También se puede lograr en Roswell
We can also
Beautiful.
do it in
de la
Roseville
misma manera.
in the same way.
No estamos para invadir, no estamos para decirles cómo hacer su
We're not there to
trabajo
tell
o
them
lo
how
que
to do their
pueden o no
work,
pueden hacer.
of what they
Simple
can
y
or cannot
sencillamente
do.
hacerles saber
We
que
are
no
just
están
there to
solos
let them know they're not
y que
alone.
como padres podemos ayudar
And as
a
parents, we can
hacerles la
help
carga de trabajo menos pesada,
make their
a
load a
darles dar
little lighter
soluciones,
of what they're
a
doing to help come up
decirles
with
que
ideas
estamos
for
ahí para
solutions.
apoyar, que
We're
no
there to
somos
support.
enemigos, sino al
We're not
contrario,
enemies.
formar un
On the
equipo por un
contrary,
bien común,
let's
por
make
el bien de
a
nuestros
team
hijos, por el bien de sus
to
alumnos, por el bien de nuestros
improve
niños,
things for our kids.
y solo eso,
And that's
hacerles
it.
saber que no,
Mm-hmm.
dejarles
No,
claro que no somos enemigos,
clearly that we are not their enemy.
somos un equipo,
We are a team.
podemos ser un equipo.
We can be a
Entonces,
team.
ahorita ya se
So
está
now
tratando de, en Roswell, abrir ese camino de
at
la
Roosevelt, we're
comunicación, de
trying to have that
integrarnos.
communication
Lo
more
he dicho,
open,
no va a ser
be part
fácil,
of it. It's not going
pero
to be
tampoco
easy,
imposible,
but
sí
it's
se
also not
puede,
impossible.
y,
Right.
y pues adelante, ¿no? Y
And
lo
let's move
mismo pasa
forward.
con las demás escuelas,
And it's
también
the same with
estamos
the
en
other
preocupación
schools.
con las estrellas porque
There was concern in Las Estrellas
como parte de colectiva no teníamos
because
quien
as
representara
part
a las estrellas,
to represent Las Estrellas.
pero hoy por hoy ya tenemos
But now we
integrantes,
do have
son
new
integrantes
people
que se están poniendo la camiseta
that are
y dicen
putting on
vamos a
the
trabajar y vamos
shirt
a
to
mejorar nuestra
work
escuela.
and improve the
Emerson
school.
también va para
Emerson too
adelante,
is moving
Green
forward.
Central,
Green
entonces
Central too.
mi idea es trabajar
My
en
idea
demostrarle
is
a
to
nuestros
work and
líderes y a las
show our
escuelas
leaders in the
que
schools
como padres, que como
that as
comunidad no
parents
somos sus
and as
enemigos.
community, we are not your enemy.
Podemos hacer equipo con ellos
We can be
por un
a
bien
team
común, lo
with you
repito,
for the
que son
common
nuestros
good,
niños.
which I repeat is our kids.
Thank you, Maria. Look at that. Jackie put up some guns, some muscles, strongs. I would say that, Maria, your examples, if it's okay, we would add strengthen communication and interaction with the schools about Colectivo, right? Just you shared interaction is important, right? And that example you gave of being a maestra in your own right, helping, I think it's super important. Can everyone support these commitments that we bring teachers and more parents, that we have a transition plan that's transparent and open, and that we strengthen our communication and interaction at the schools? And that if we achieve all these things this year, these things will help us make sure that Colectiva is of value to our community. Can we agree on these commitments and what it will bring? I've got
¿Podemos
some.
modificar maestros para incluir a todo el personal de las escuelas?
So we have Molly asking, can we include all staff, right? Or school personnel?
Staff or
Mm-hmm. Does that look good, Molly, or we have people saying yes? Okay, great. So these are commitments as we proceed into our next section, which I want to thank you for allowing me to guide you through these conversations and for you to share your real experiences and why you are here at Colectiva as we move into our next section, and Jenny will be facilitating that. So thank you all. Jenny, I'm going to kick it back over to you.
Great. Thank you, Celina. And if you can join me on slide 20, that was a tremendously rich conversation with a lot of clarity. What I'm going to ask you to do now as we move into the latter half of our planning is to find a piece of scratch paper, something to write on, or you can also use the bottom of the computer screen, but to think of especially for your own committee, but for really it can be an action for anyone. What is a specific action that we could take to achieve those commitments, what we just talked about? I know you have your calendar of all the activities, so we know that's already in the work plan, and we need to get the calendar synchronized. But looking at those commitments of bringing in the staff to the collective process in a collaborative way to create a clear, supportive, transparent plan of transition. And that's especially for Molly to Jose, to increase the consistent parent involvement and have an abundance of volunteers, and to strengthen communication and interaction with the schools. What are specific things you or someone in the teams could do? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes of silent time to just write a list, and any idea is valid. Any idea is valid. And feel free to just raise your hand or ask if you have any questions. So right now, 3 minutes to write.
Jenny, I wonder if we could get one example just to make sure everybody kind of understands what type of thing you're looking for here.
Sure. Let me think.
You can ask the group. So
yeah.
Group, what do you think would be one way to increase consistent parent involvement over the next year? What's a specific job or task you could do?
Ejemplo, puedo decir en mi caso,
An example,
con
I
los
can say
maestros,
in my case with the teachers,
pienso
I
hacer
think I will
conversaciones
have conversations
de cosas específicas que
about
le
specific
pueden
things
interesar a ellos
that might interest
de,
them,
de los proyectos colectivos
about
para
projects that Colectiva is working on,
conectar y hacer
to
que ellos
connect
abran la posibilidad de
and
colaborar
have them be
en cosas
open to
específicas, quizás no
collaborating on
pedirle
specific
roles
things,
súper
not ask
grandísimos
them for a
dentro de
big
colectiva, pero
role
sí
within
como
Colectiva,
en cosas puntuales para que
but
ellos se sientan con la
specific things so
capacidad de
that they feel
tiempo,
like
con
that
su
they have the
talento que tienen,
time
¿verdad? De
and the
colaborar
talent to
y así
collaborate
sea que colectiva pueda conectar
so
y
that
ellos
Colectiva can
hacer
connect
los pases de esas ideas.
and
Thank you,
they
Jose.
can do the steps
O
of that
aún
idea.
más específico,
Or
más
even
pequeño
more
que esto,
specific,
tenemos
more
ahora
small.
una representante de
We have
maestra,
one
una
representative teachers
representante docente que es de las estrellas.
from Las Estrellas.
Sería excelente
It would be
conseguir que en cada
excellent if we
escuela
can
haya un
get each
representante
school
de
to
los
have one
maestros para que
representative
esa
of
persona nos pueda
teachers
informar si
so
alguna
that that person
comunicación
can
de
tell
colectiva le
us
está llegando y también
if
para
they're getting
informarnos
the
de las cosas
Colectiva
internas de la escuela, tal como hace José
information
en
and
Roosevelt.
tell us what's going on in the schools, like Jose does with Roosevelt.
Perfect. Thank you, Molly. Okay, and then let's do the next 2 minutes for just silent writing. I'm sorry, Gloria, go ahead.
Como por ejemplo, a mí me
Like, for
sucedió
example,
esto.
this
La
happened to me.
misma maestra,
The same teacher,
Mónica, me invitó a
Monica,
que yo
invited me
fuera la
to go
instructora de
and
sus
be the
alumnos
teacher of their
en sembrar las
students
plantitas,
in
sembrar unas
plant
plantitas que ellos,
plants that
no sé,
they,
algunas las cosecharon y otras las
some of
compraron.
them they
Y los
planted and
niños
some of them they bought.
deshiervaron el lugar y hicieron
The
esto, pero
kids
fue
did
porque la
this,
maestra les
but it was
indicó.
because the
Entonces,
teachers
cuando
asked them.
ellos regresen,
So
van
when
a
I
estar al
came,
cuidado de sus
they're
plantitas.
going to be
Esa
taking
es una
care of their
manera de
plants.
que la maestra,
That's
con mi
one way.
conexión
The
anterior,
teacher,
ella,
with the connection I had with
aceptó
her
venir
before, she
hacer
accepted
participación.
for
Entonces,
me to come
tengo
and
una
have that
maestra
participation. So
y
I have
pues
one
tengo
teacher.
2 prospectos más.
Great.
En eso puedo
And I have
aportar
2
para
other
mis
teachers
6
that
meses
I could do.
adelante.
So I could
Gracias.
do that in my next 3 months. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's do one last minute to see if we can get more ideas written down of other specific actions, things you might do to help make these commitments happen.
Buenos días. Yo creo que no solo somos los padres o una colectiva, creo que también tiene que ver mucho
I think
los
it's
líderes de la
not
escuela,
just
¿verdad? Porque
Colectiva. It
esos
also
son
has
el
to do with the
corazón de la
leaders in the
escuela y de
schools. They're
nuestros
the
hijos,
heart of
porque
the school.
ellos ya teniendo, ¿sí me escuchan?
Yes,
Ya si ellos tienen esa conexión
if they
con los
have that
padres,
connection with the
posiblemente la
parents,
tendrían con los maestros
they would
y
have
eso
it with the
sería,
teachers.
o sea, excelente.
That would be
Cuando
excellent.
nosotros como padres
When we as parents
observamos, no solo
observe
como staff, y vemos la situación,
just the staff and we see the
y tú
situation,
vas y dices
and you
a los
go
maestros
and say to the
lo que
teachers
está pasando,
what's going on,
ellos echan la bolita a los líderes,
they
porque a
say,
veces
well,
ellos
it's
tienen
the
miedo
leaders.
y a
They are
veces de
scared
tomar acciones,
to take action,
a defender, pues decirlo, a
to,
defender a
to
los
defend
estudiantes.
the
Entonces,
students.
si Elena va y le dice,
If Elena
oh
goes and
maestro,
says,
mire, yo estoy
teacher, look,
observando esto,
I'm
está
seeing
pasando esto,
this,
o
this
hable
is
con
going
el
on.
líder,
Oh,
hable
talk
con
to
el
the leader,
director
talk
o
to
la
the principal
subdirectora.
or the,
Y la
or the vice
subdirectora te dicen,
principal.
oh, no,
And
es
the
que
sub
tienes que hablar con
principal says,
ellos
no,
porque
you
ellos
have
son
to
los que
talk to
deben
them
de, los
because they're the
encargados.
ones in
Entonces,
charge.
tú como mamá
So
te quedas en medio y
as
dices,
a
a
mom,
ver,
you're in the middle.
¿quién
What?
aquí
Who
toma acciones?
takes action?
Tú estás en medio como mamá,
You're in the
pues
middle as
conoces
a mom.
al director y sabe el
You know the
potencial que ellos
principal
tienen con su
and you know
escuela,
the
porque ellos son los
potential they have
líderes.
with their school because they're
Y los
leaders.
maestros no quieren
And the
hacer más
teachers
porque
don't
tienen
want to
miedo,
do more because they're scared.
porque los maestros
The
los
teachers,
amenazan,
they
ayudarlos.
threaten them,
Y eso es muy real, dicho de
and
los
that's very
propios
real.
maestros. No
But
quieren
many
hacer más
teachers
porque
say they don't
tienen
want to do
miedo. Y
more because they're
totalmente de
scared.
acuerdo, es su trabajo.
And I agree, it's their work.
Entonces, cuando nosotros como padres
When we as
estamos,
parents are there,
como por ejemplo ahorita involucrar a los maestros,
like now
es
to
un,
involve the
sí
teachers,
es un rol muy fuerte para ellos que
it's a
podamos tenerlos
big role for
24/7 con
them
nosotros.
to
Por
have them
estas
with us
barreras.
24/7 with us because of due to these barriers.
Gracias, Elena. Ok, ejemplos muy perfectos. Entonces, sorry, in English, these are great examples. So what are some actions people in the colectivo could do to help support the parent in that situation or help support the leader in those situations? And that's what we want to think about. What actions could we do in the next 6 months to help support those circumstances? I'm going to do one last minute and then we'll begin to share our lists.
And for right now, just write it on a piece of paper. Just make your own list now that we have some good example ideas.
Está en silencio.
You're on mute, Jenny.
Well, that gave everybody another minute to write.
You're on mute.
Okay. So now that you have a few ideas, what we're going to do, and Kim, could you please have us go to slide 21 now on the screen? Thank you. So what you're going to do is we'll split you up. You don't have to do anything and your screen might change and you'll all move into breakout rooms of 2 or 3 people who speak your same language. And what we're going to do is ask you to share your list of ideas and talk about them. And between the 2 lists that you have or any new ideas you come up with, try to, well, first you could star your best idea. And then when you get to your group, share your best ideas with your group. And then we have a Google slide and one of us will come to each room to help make sure that someone can help write the ideas onto the cards and ask you to write at least 4 or 5 ideas onto the cards. Kim, can you also show slide 23 as an example? So the people who will be in group 1, they will put their ideas, they will write them on the sticky notes. And then in a few minutes, we'll organize those sticky notes for you. And Kim, are you able to organize the breakout groups or can you let me know when they're ready?
I am, yes. And I just wanted to make sure, how many groups did you want?
We have 4 groups.
Okay.
And they're by language.
And I think that I have folks in a language group that they are comfortable with, but
the main room will be Spanish so that Aida can stay here. And then we'll put the So advocacy will be in room 1, academics, English in room 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Help me understand how you want these groups done. They're not just random by language at this point?
Actually, go ahead. We'll just do them random by language.
Okay, and you want Aida to stay in the main
main
room
room.
with Spanish speakers?
Yes.
Okay, hold on just a moment. Would you guys like to stay, you and Celina, in the main room as well, or would you like to go into a breakout room?
Can we go on our own into the breakout rooms?
Yep, I will. I'm gonna set stuff up for that. Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
All right.
And I'm also by phone that you can just ignore me.
That's okay. I just have to move some folks around real quickly.
Okay.
Okay.
So
All
you've
right.
got your ideas and you'll share with your partner those your ideas and then
Ustedes quieren que en cada grupo alguien escriba en la diapositiva.
So you want somebody in each group to write on the slide.
Yes. And first just have a discussion about your ideas.
So I would
we can
also
help write the slides.
Yeah, so I would also, it would help to know who actually has access to the slides right now. So if you have access to the slides, can you raise your hand or something to let me know? How about this? I'm going to tell you who the groups are, and you let me know if they seem like they're going to be a good organization. We've got Blanca and Jen together in one room. We have Brisa, Elena, and Maria in another room. Is there someone there who has access to the computer?
I don't know who's speaking, but I have to leave right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Molly, for the invitation. José, estoy para lo que tú quieras, ¿ok? Tienes mi teléfono. Nos vemos.
That's Blanca.
Muchas
Gracias,
gracias,
Blanca.
Blanca.
Thank you for your participation.
Thank you, Blanca.
Okay, I do not have a clear sense of where languages are at this point. So this is what I've got. Brisa, Elena, and Maria in one group. Does someone in that group have access to the computer?
Could we maybe add Jose to that group?
Yes.
Or change? Yeah, because I know Jose has, let me see.
Right. And then we have Gloria, Jenny, and Valentine in another group, and Valentine has access. We have then
Jen.
Yeah, Jen. Exactly. Who else would be a good partner for Jen?
Jen needs English.
Right. So who would be a good partner for Jen?
Let me see.
Solo yo.
Brisa?
Only me.
So no, Molly? Yeah. I'm trying to look at, or Brooke. Brooke is bilingual?
Pero Brooke se fue. No sé
Yeah.
qué hora.
Oh, fue Brooke. Oh, yo pensaba
Yeah.
que era.
Brooke left.
I'm sorry, I thought it was
Okay.
Blanca. Okay.
So Jenny and Molly. So Jenny and Molly.
Yeah, Jenny and
but
Molly.
Jenny is me. Is this my phone?
It'd be Jen and Molly.
Got
Jen
it.
and Molly.
And then let's see. All right, I need to add one more. Sorry, these have moved quite around a bit. So hold on one second. All right, and then we have Aida, Jackie, and let's say Jenny. Can we put you all in one group together? I think this will work. We're gonna give it a shot. Okay, I'm gonna send you out. And how long would you like in these groups?
They'll have 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. So,
Antes de ir a los grupos, pueden
Before going to the
especificar
groups, can you
qué
be
pregunta
specific
vamos a estar
what is the
haciendo
question we're going to be
porque si
answering?
después que ya no tenemos
If we don't
lo
have
común, entonces ya no tenemos
common,
acceso a
we don't
la
have access to
presentación. Entonces,
the
¿cuál de
presentation. What are all
toda la pregunta vamos a estar trabajando las
questions are we going to be working on?
I'm going to put those instructions into the chat right now in Spanish. Let me see.
Y por ahora es general.
el grupo 1, ya, okay, ya es.
And it's
La
general.
pregunta era, ¿cuál de la presentación es que estábamos
What
para
of
hacer?
the
Y es grupo 1 y
presentations are we
grupo 2
doing?
y
Group
todo
1,
eso ya.
Group 2,
Okay,
Group 3, 4.
gracias.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, whatever your room number is.
Son en general no corresponden a un comité todavía.
And the actions are general, they don't correspond to a committee yet.
They could be just in general, yes.
Correct. Okay. All right, I'm going to open these rooms. Molly, you'll need to move yourself
Bien,
to
voy a
room 2.
mover esto a los salones.
I think
Voy a
you're on
pasar.
English channel, Aida.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. So I'll open the rooms. Molly, you'll move yourself to room 2. Jenny and Celina, you'll be in room 6 together. And here in this room is just Aida and Jackie, so you can use whatever language you'd like in this group. And I'll leave.
Sí, en español está bien. No. Yo estoy con el teléfono. ¿Puedes escribir o en el chat? Ok. Ya. Sí, a ver, de la primera pregunta era sobre, a ver, tengo captura de pantalla, pero no me deja acceder. A ver, deme un segundo para acceder a la captura de pantalla, porque se me está frizando el teléfono. Ok. Eh, ¿Y solo estamos las dos? Bueno, como yo comentaba, para el tema de la comunicación, para poder fomentar la comunicación, la buena comunicación o la comunicación positiva con los profesores, por lo que comentó José, por la situación. em, para mí sería bueno, en las actividades que tienen los maestros, que tienen capacitaciones antes de iniciar el año lectivo como tal, primero, una breve presentación. En mi caso, eso serviría mucho, porque a mí no me conocen allá en la escuela, me conocerán 2 o 3 maestros. Una breve presentación. Ok, estamos aquí para servir, somos colectiva, estamos a la
Oh, what happened? She just disappeared. Aida, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Channel. It was a mess. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Welcome back, everyone. I just want to make sure I'm in the English room. Yes. Welcome back, everyone. What we're going to do now is take the cards that you created in your rooms and bring them all to slide number 28. And
help with that?
Yeah, that would be great. I can. Celina's got the ones from group 4. So thank you all. I was hearing lots of different ideas. What we're looking for is actions, what we can do, steps that people can do to help make these actions happen over the next 6 months. And we can see some of them came with your group. And I know communications goes to all the groups. Maybe we can, at the end, maybe we can put communications in a separate category, the pink ones. We're waiting for the last couple cards. So as we're doing this, let's take a look at all the cards. And do we have a volunteer who could read the pink cards for us?
And we are all, if everyone would move to slide 28, I will start screen sharing that slide again.
También me di cuenta que después de salir de los
I noticed
requisitos,
once we left the rooms,
quitó la interpretación.
I
Entonces,
took
quizás
away
la
my
persona tiene que ajustar
interpretation.
su
So
idioma ahora.
people might have to adjust their language now.
Oh.
Asegúrense que están en el
Make
canal de
sure
español.
that you are in the Spanish channel if you
Okay.
prefer that.
¿Estás en español? Okay.
Are you in Spanish? Okay.
Thank you for that, Molly. I had to do the same thing.
Gloria, tu micrófono.
Gracias por avisar.
Ya la apago. Okay.
So do we have a volunteer who could read the pink cards?
Lo siento, es que estoy trabajando y no me di cuenta que se quedó prendido.
Sorry, I'm working and I couldn't tell that my microphone was still on. Valentin, are you there? Yeah, I'm here.
¿Puedes leer tus tarjetitas en
Can you
rosado?
read your little cards
sí,
that are
claro.
pink? Yeah, of course.
Bueno, tenemos el primer punto, lo que es
The first point
canalizar la
is
comunicación.
to canalize the communication.
Como enfatizar responsabilidades de los padres.
Emphasize the responsibility of the parents.
Información.
More frequent publications on social media and information, more concrete information, more information that's concrete and effective.
Gracias. Creo que tu grupo habló de comunicaciones, ¿verdad?
Yeah, I think your group talked about communication. Yeah.
And the white cards, can someone else read for us the white cards? It doesn't matter if you're from that group. And yeah.
Dispuesto. Envolver personas y maestros
Involve people and teachers in specific activities related to Colectiva.
Alcance comunitario sería comunicar
communicate activities of Colectiva in the events of the school.
Atraer y dar a conocer y envolver a
to attract and involve more people.
Presentarse desde el inicio
and introduce themselves in the beginning so that they know each other and create positive relationships.
And the gray cards? Is there someone who can read the gray cards for us? Is that maybe Jen? Are you able to view the cards to read those?
Jen dice que tiene que salir. Okay. Crear alianzas con otros grupos.
Jen said she has to leave, create alliance with other advocacy groups, and identify key people and moments. make personal asks, commitments of elected officials,
ser anfitrión de una sesión de escucha
have a listening session with elected officials
o de la mesa directiva
or the school board in partnership with other groups or organizations. Use communications to strengthen connection between schools and host an advocacy training for board members.
And so as I look at these, thank you so much. Are there any questions? Do we need to clarify any of the cards? You can just unmute and ask if there's any card that needs to be clarified. And I think do all the gray cards go with advocacy? And do we can also duplicate some of the cards if they need to go with another category?
Yeah, Jen is the leader of advocacy, so we talked about that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Oh, thank you. So those are getting aligned there. And then we have the communication cards go kind of with everyone, and the white cards are is that with the celebrations? Can you tell me where would the white cards go?
Los representantes y
It's
líderes
more
en las
the
diferentes
leaders
escuelas
and
o comunidades, pero eso lo
representatives of the
estuvieron
different
opinando.
communities. That's what they were talking more about.
So it would it go with multiple categories? Because we could make a copy of it. Where else do you think it would go?
Yo lo veo en académica y
I see it in academic and celebrations because their attendance in celebrations and that we plan things together.
y también, bueno, también recaudación de fondos, porque
also in fundraising because we want them to apply to do initiatives so that they can use their funds.
Lo académico es lo más fácil.
And academic, it's easiest because it's their work to find participation with more families.
So, and the communication channel is, they operate in their own channel and then they'll work with each team. Is that correct? The communications people?
Ahora es el primer momento que tenemos como un capitán.
This is the first time that we have a director of communications. We just met in our last meeting and Valentin just met them. I was the connection or for communications and Valentin does the web page and Colin does videos, but communications, it's WhatsApp, weekly emails to the schools, things in the past that I would do.
Many communication channels. So what we would do now is move on. We would take these priorities, these action steps, and move to Celina. Do you want to say anything about the like slide 33 of laying these out? What the next steps would be for the groups?
Pregunta sobre las tarjetitas
Question about the little
no
pink
quedó ubicada en algo específico.
cards. They didn't go to a specific place.
Those are all communication. I can make a new category. Let me see if we can do this, slide that over. I'll make a new column with communication, and that really applies to everyone. And as you look at the next step, you could see where communication might fit in. Yeah, there, here I can help move. There we go. Does that help clarify? Thank you. So we're just down to our final minutes here. What we would do is, and this can be done at a later time, is to have each group look, and if you join me on slide 33, it's in Spanish, and if you want to look at it, if you want to look in English, the same information is on slide 34, but I'll put it in slide, I'll show slide 33 because we have more Spanish speakers right now. And so we would take the first group. So for example, if this was the advocacy group, we would bring all those activities, those actions from advocacy and bring their gray cards down to slide 33. And then as they meet as a team, they can look at their the calendar link and your activity links where you have the large work plan, and lay out which are the activities that might happen first and where would they go, and then to think through really the important parts are what would the victory look like for advocacy at the end of, like, if in January, what would it look like for advocacy group to be successful, that committee? And then what would be the first step they would do, the lanzamiento or launch step? What's the first thing they would do to, how would they organize this set of steps? And again, bring up at this point your activity work plan and the budget to look through and see what your budget needs are. So they can use this to organize them all. And then the final, once each group has had time to do this, which may need to be at a separate time since I know we're getting close to the end, on slide 39 is a place where we could put it out to see all four groups together. We could copy those rows and put them all and have them all four together. And so this has been a learning experience for us, and I know timing has been a very big challenge. We knew this was a lot to take on in the short amount of hours. Celina, do you have anything you want to put in here?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, just thank you for your time and sharing today. Part of success is what we do here in terms of taking a step back and understanding the big picture and having your voices heard. As you progress to moving into action and calendaring, we'll reach out to Molly and Jose to see how we can support closing out the next steps. But really appreciate your time and having good conversations around your why and moving forward as a colectiva. So thank you.
And if you want to show slide 41, just to ask to think back over our 3 hours together today, is there one word or highlight that that you would think of the conversation today as we get ready to close? And you could type it in chat or say it, just one word, maybe hear from a few people. Maybe someone we haven't heard from before. Thank you, Jen. I see, oh, she had to leave a few minutes ago.
Como Elena. Elena.
Mm-hmm.
Like Elena?
Presente.
I'm here.
Presente. Present. Thank you. And we appreciate you staying with us through the whole process. Is there someone else? One word you would want to say?
Yo quiero dar la gracia por
I want to say thank you for the process that you have, the methodical process that you've done with us that helps us
como a hacer un proceso
to
como
do a process
consciente de la cosa que estamos
that
haciendo.
we're
Un
more
proceso que
conscious of what we're
nos ha
doing,
ayudado
that helps us
como a visualizar ideas,
visualize
cosas concretas y las
ideas in a
acciones,
concrete way and the
refinar,
actions to
refinarla
refine
o delimitarla de acuerdo a un
or
tiempo y a un nivel.
determine how we want to
Gracias.
move forward with this goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. And that's what we heard was the goal from you, that you wanted to really know what your priorities were as you look forward to the activities and the actions in the fall to make your work as effective as possible, meeting your priorities. Elena, go ahead.
Bueno, sí, y gracias por
Yeah,
traer
thank you for
a las
bringing
personas, a ustedes, por
people
enseñarnos,
to teach us,
ya que yo como una mamá,
because myself as a mother,
que siempre estamos al pendiente de
we're
de
always
nuestros hijos,
thinking
esto nos
about our
enseña a
kids.
seguir
This
trabajando en
shows us to
equipo
keep working with
con los
teams,
maestros en la
with the
escuela en
teachers and the
general.
schools in
Esto
general.
nos enseña
This shows us
a
that
que debemos de tener, de que
we
los
should,
líderes de cada
the
escuela
leaders
nos
of
deben
every
de ver
school
como
should
uno
see
más de
us
ellos, y
as
que
one of
nosotros
them,
estamos
and we
tiempo
are
completo y sin ningún
full-time
sueldo.
without pay.
Eso deben de tenerlo bien
They
presente,
should have
que
that, keep
nosotros no
that in
estamos
mind.
ahí
We're not
para
there.
no, es que estamos ahí para seguir
We're
fortaleciendo
there to keep
cadenas,
strengthening
seguir
chains,
fortaleciendo comunidad
to keep making
y no
community.
hacer ningún complot ni guerras con
We're not
nadie.
doing
Y esto
war,
nos
cold
hace, por
plot
ejemplo, a mí,
against anyone.
Elena, a
That's
que yo
like
tenga
example
que
for me, Elena.
aprender a ser
I have to
equitativa
learn
y
to
aprender de muchas
be
comunidades. Y que esto me enseña a mí
someone who
que
can learn
cualquier
about a lot of
comunidad
different
que venga a mí,
communities.
que
Any
tengamos que
community
hacer en
that
cada
comes to
escuela,
me,
y
what
eso
we
me
have to
hace a
do in
crecer
each
y
school that helps me
empatizar
grow and
a
empathize
más familias.
with more families.
Entonces, esto me ayuda a seguir creciendo
This
como
helps me to
persona,
grow as a
como ser
person,
humano y
as a
como lo
human
dije en algunas
being,
reuniones,
like I said in
a
a
ser
few
más
meetings,
tolerante y
to
paciente
be more
porque
patient and
las
tolerant
personas somos muy
because
locas, somos muy
sometimes we as
intensas
people are very
y claro que
intense or
no
very
somos como
crazy.
mi lema ese de no somos monedita de oro para caerles bien a todos,
You won't,
pero
rub
también
everyone the right way, but
tenemos que
we have
apretar
to
un poquito
tighten a little bit
en esto para trabajar,
on this to be
que
able
es
to
lo
work.
mismo, nuestros hijos y
To
por el futuro de
what
ellos.
is for our
Gracias
kids,
por
for their
traer,
future.
por
Thank you
venir
for
aquí.
coming here.
Y yo aprecio mucho también su tiempo
I
y todo
appreciate your time
las
a lot
herramientas.
and all
Gracias.
the tools. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you. And I know we are past noon, so if anyone has to leave now, this is our time of wrapping up. So Celina and I will talk with Molly and Jose about how best to follow up and to make sure that all of you have access to all the
Sí, y
slides.
simplemente también para decir que Stacy.
Okay, Stacy, go ahead.
Sí,
Again, if anyone needs to leave. Oh, so
y también si usted tiene
Also,
preguntas
if
sobre
you
la
have
propuesta
questions
de
about the
Diverge,
proposal
que
from
puede apoyar a
Diverge
María para
that
que
can
María sea
support
tesorera y
Maria so
Diverge
she
nos
can
ayuda
be
con la
a
contabilidad.
treasurer, Diverge
Podemos ir
helps
con
us with
Stacy en un
account.
saloncito
We
de
can go
breakout
to
para
another
que el
breakout
equipo de
room with
facilitadores pueda
Stacy
hablar con José
so
y
the
yo puedo
facilitators can
facilitar
talk to Jose
una conversación
and
con
I
Stacy
can
y
have a
viceversa para
conversation
usar la
with
interpretación, ¿verdad?
Stacy to use the interpretation.
¿Alguien aquí quiere hacer algunas preguntas sobre la propuesta de Diverge para
Is there anyone here
apoyar
that
nuestra
wants to
parte de
do the
finanzas?
questions for Diverge to help us with
Porque una decisión que tenemos que
finance?
tomar
A
ya
decision
pronto
that we have to
es
make
si vamos a
is
incluir la
if we're going
propuesta
to
de Diverge en
include
nuestro
the
presupuesto.
proposal
Y
of
Stacy está
Diverge
aquí
in
para poder
our
modificar cualquier
budget.
cosa de su propuesta.
They're here to
Y
modify
gracias
anything in their
a las tres
proposal.
mujeres
And
increíbles que
thank
nos
you for the
facilitaron hoy.
3
Me dio
incredible
mucho,
women
mucho
that
gusto para
facilitated
poder
today.
participar como parte
I
del
was
equipo.
very happy to participate and not be the facilitator
Gracias.
and be the a
Aquí,
participant. Thank
aquí
you.
hay 3, pero son 4. 4 inmensa damas
There's 3 here,
que
but
nos han ayudado en
4
todo
were
este
here.
proceso.
There's 3 wonderful women
Laura,
that have
que no está
helped us in this
presente, ha sido
process. Laura is not
la,
here.
la inicial de
She
comunicación
was the one we initiated
gracias
conversation with. Thank you,
Jennifer, Celina y
Jennifer,
Kim
and
por
Selena and
estas
Kim
oportunidades de crecimiento
for
juntos
this
y unificar
process
la
to help us
diversidad de
grow
ideas que
and
tenemos
unite the
y
diverse
aportes
ideas that we have and the different ways to do it to a specific method. Thank you so much.
It was our pleasure and our honor to work with you, and it's been a great learning experience for us, and just powerful to witness the strength of the conversation and the strength of the people involved in the Colectiva. Okay, with that, was someone
Can I
else?
speak?
Sure. I just want anybody to know if they need to leave, they can leave. Don't feel you have to stay now, because I know we are past time. So, yes, but please speak. We would love to hear.
Yo, Gloria.
Yes, Gloria, go.
Buen día.
Have a good day. Thank you so much.
Reunión.
Thank you for this. This was a powerful meeting.
¿Cómo se dice? Nuestras instructoras
our instructors
la reunión fue
who led this meeting were very motivating. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Molly. Thank you to my colleagues. And I have to go. I'd like to stay, but I have to go. Thank you.
José, ¿te queda con alguna pregunta para Stacy?
José, do you have any questions for Stacy?
Sí, tengo muchas.
Valentín.
Yeah,
okay. Muchas. Okay, so mira, si alguien quiere, Jennifer de su equipo, alguien quiere.
Jennifer, does someone of your team want to stay here, or should we get together at another time?
I think let's get together at another time so you can go on with Stacy for your meeting, and then I can send a link. Yeah, okay. Kim and I and Celina can meet in a different Zoom area, and then we'll get together. We'll be connecting next week. Okay, thank you so much.
Adiós. Bye-bye. Muchas gracias.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Gracias.
Okay. Ahí
Thank
¿estás
you.
bien? ¿Estás viva?
Aquí estoy.
Oh, Aida.
Hemos realmente
la superhéroe Aida.
Okay.
Toda.
Porque veo que tenemos la necesidad de tus servicios por un ratito más. Okay. Okay, Stacy, ¿estás escuchando en inglés?
Stacy, are you listening in English?
Gracias a todos. Que tengan un bonito día.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying goodbye. Thank you, everyone. Maria's leaving.
Stacy, here, I'll show you how we go to English.
Okay.
Just a second, sorry. Wait. Okay, share my screen. Okay. I've been out of facilitation mode. Here we go. Just enjoying the ride. Wait. Woo. Okay, so at the bottom of your screen, there's a little globe. Oops, come on, come on. Okay, so at the bottom of your screen, there's a little, oops, this little globe, and you're gonna navigate to English.
Ah,
Yeah.
got it. Thank you. I didn't even know that was okay.
So así José es el nuevo presidente, y María
Jose is the new president, and Maria approved your proposal to become a treasurer. So we have a few changes since the last time we spoke. And now that we are in this new transition, I wanted to open the space because sometimes Jose, even though he's very bilingual, he feels more comfortable expressing in Spanish. And we have Valentin, who is communication, and Jackie's new from Las Estrellas. If anyone has questions for Stacy, who represents Diverge, I can also share the proposal, but we need to approve or deny this proposal to be able to move forward with the work. Let me find the proposal. I did the translation into Spanish to be able to show it to you.
José, ¿quieres arrancar?
Jose, would you like to start? I know you have a lot of questions.
El documento que no lo
I was looking for the document that I couldn't find. I found it. Here's the version in Spanish.
Esa es la que tengo.
That's the one I have that I'm looking at.
So, hay dos servicios, ¿verdad?
There's two services, right? One
sea nuestro director financiero.
to be our financial director would be the super treasurer that we've never had
Haga todo esto que
and
dice
do
aquí.
everything that it says right here. The second proposal, we could have one or the other or both.
Está bien. O también podemos hacer una opción 3.
Or we could do a third option.
La segunda propuesta
The second
es
proposal
que
is
hagan un proyecto
to do a
por
project
un tiempo limitado,
for a limited time,
tanto tiempo que requiere el proyecto, ¿verdad?
the time that we need for the project,
Hacer un manual de
to
políticas y
do a
operaciones
manual of financial
María ha
policies.
también hizo una
Maria
propuesta,
started,
pero
Brooke
ninguna
also did a
versión está
proposal, but
completamente
neither
terminada o
version is
representativo
complete
de todo. Si
or
María
represent
se fuera un
everything.
día y
If
tuviera que pasar
Maria
su trabajo
left
o el
one
trabajo
day,
de
if she had to
Nicole,
pass her
que es
work
nuestra
on to someone
tesorera
else,
saliente,
or treasurer, our current
ningún
treasurer,
manual.
Nicole, who's leaving, there's no manual that we have to finish that work for that right now.
Su propuesta es que Diverge, que
Her
es experta
proposal
en
is
operaciones
Diverge,
de
who is an
ONGs
expert
o
of
organizaciones sin fines de lucro en las finanzas, que
nonprofits
nos
in
ayude
finance,
con
could help
este
us
manual.
with this,
Y
create
después,
this
con el
manual.
manual hecho, se van.
And with the manual made, then they'll leave.
Se siguen mes por mes
Or
apoyándonos.
with the manual done, they could continue to work with us month by month. What questions do you have
Propuesta.
on this
Aquí están los
proposal?
precios.
Here are the
Se cobra
costs.
por hora.
They charge by hour.
Primera es, yo quiero
First,
escuchar,
I'd like to
porque, por
hear
ejemplo, cuando tuvimos la reunión
when we had the meeting,
inicial,
first one,
hablaste de varias
you
cosas
spoke
que
about a
ahora la
variety of
pusiste en la
things,
propuesta, la
and now
pusiste
you
más
put it
específica,
in
pero
more
todavía
specific in the proposal.
persona como yo que no
But a
sabemos mucho
person like me that I don't know a lot
de
about
tecnología numérica
technology or these
en contabilidad y todas las estructuras,
in accountants
me
and that
gustaría
structure,
que tú expliques de
I
nuevo
would like you to
con estos
explain a
visuales
little
cómo
more
tú
with these
lo
visuals.
visualizas
How do you
que sí
visualize
beneficiaría a
how would this benefit Colectiva?
Stacy, que Stacy explica.
Yes. And can you
You want
understand me?
Stacy to
Okay. Okay. So great question. Usually what we envision is that there's a person who comes on board first before we start accounting services. That's kind of what's explained in the process number 1, where you come in and you just assess what's going on right now. And so it's just to make sure that your systems are in place and that everything is according to like the industry standard for nonprofits. There's like a few nonprofit rules you have to follow. So we just check those compliance type pieces and make adjustments there, and also look for ways to streamline what's currently going on right now. And that usually saves time with the monthly accounting process. And the monthly accounting process is what's described in the second section. And accounting services just means everything from cutting checks when needed, helping the treasurers at the schools manage cash and do deposits, and just make sure that everything is kind of structured, I guess. That's one of the main things that a firm does. They just bring more structure to the accounting work. And as Molly described, the second process would be creating that operational manual. So that's kind of how I see the flow of work going. And that's what accountants kind of provide more so than bookkeeping. Did I answer that question?
Yes, but you put it as a third thing in the bottle, and they look like different of the other two. Si lo entendí bien, eso fue quizá mi duda.
If I understood well, that might be my doubt.
Que si ninguno de estos dos solamente serían como consulta.
Both of these would just be a consult, 1 and 2. I'm trying to understand the version that I saw in English. The Spanish one, I have not had a chance to look at to read it in Spanish.
Es exactamente lo mismo, las dos versiones, pero
yeah, it's exactly the same both. Consult is number 1. Would be to consult monthly and monthly support. That's what the proposal is. You could have one or both.
Es que si tuviéramos un manual,
if we had one manual, that was designed for us, we could include things like how do treasurers of the 5 schools, how they can run the cash in person, and how can they have a Maria treasurer virtual. Nicole has worked really hard trying to do everything, and that's why she's no longer here with us. So a question was, if Maria being virtual, could she take on the treasurer? Yes, but we need a manual to distinguish what Maria does and what does Nicole Falk do, who's the treasurer of Anderson and Roosevelt, or both, I'm not sure. And what does she do if we have another accountant? Can she go back to her accountant instead of Diverge? So then Maria can be remote. So what does Maria do and what does the future Nicole do? If we want Diverge to be like Maria in the future and Maria continues at the treasurer, that's another option. And the question at this point, if we make that choice, we would pay the price of number 1. That's my question. How sustainable
Solo para un año.
is it to have just for 1
Si se
year
hace una de cualquiera de
if we do either one of these 2 options?
So el manual es
Well, the manual is short term. We could probably finish it in the same summer. And that sustains you. It's like our Bible for finance forever. Number 1, paying that price month by month could be very expensive. It requires an investment
pedir subvenciones.
and asking for grants. If we keep writing grants, we always take 10% to run the finance as a nonprofit. And that 10%, if we keep working with grants, can sustain that position, including the payment for Aida and Maria. But we have to invest in grants that gives transparency that we don't have right now.
Entonces, la pregunta
So the question for me is,
¿qué es sostenible
what is sustainable
en esta transición?
in this transition
O en esta propuesta, ¿qué es
or in this
sostenible?
proposal?
Entiendo, por
What's
ejemplo, que
sustainable? I
Diverge nos
understand that
ayudaría
Diverge would help us
capacitarnos,
to
y eso
train
lo sostenible a largo
us,
plazo,
and that
pero
sustains
si
us in the long
hacemos de
term.
Diverge, por
But if we
ejemplo,
do
nuestro
diverse
servicio
our service
sostenible, eso quiere decir que tenemos que tener
sustainable,
dinero
that
sostenible
means we have to
consigo
have
para
money
poder pagar.
available to pay
Y
them
esa
all
es
the
la
time.
parte que no tenemos
That's the part
sosteniblemente
that we don't have
si no es a
sustainable
través de grant.
if we don't have
Y
the grants.
supongo que no va a ser tan fácil que
And I
alguien
think
diga,
it won't be so
estamos dando
easy to
dinero
say,
solamente
oh, we're
para
moving
manejar lo
money
económico,
just to run the
sin el
economic part
efecto directo a su
without the
propuesta, ¿verdad?
effect of their
Supongo que
proposal.
cada grant tienen
I
metas
think every
específicas,
plan has
no
specific
solamente
goals,
para que tú manejas
not
bonitamente
just
la
so you
contabilidad.
run the accounting
Transparencia,
very
¿verdad?
well. You need transparency.
Pero hay grants, por
Well,
ejemplo,
there
que
are
tenemos ahora
grants
con
that we have
Graves,
now with
Ujú.
Graves
para operaciones,
that is for
para
operations.
para operar de una manera legal,
And
como
to
ONG que
operate in a
reporte
legal
a
way that a
IRS.
nonprofit that
Se
reports
supone
to the
que hay
IRS,
una persona como un
there has
director
to be
ejecutivo
one
o hay un
director,
contable
executive
o hay
director,
ambos
or an accountant, or both
seguir manejando de
to
manera
keep
legal una
running
organización, ¿verdad?
running this
Nosotros
organization in a legal
recibimos
way. And
y
since we receive and we pay
pagamos gastos de 5 entidades, que
expenses
son 5
of
escuelas,
5
se
schools,
supone que es un gasto razonable para,
it has to
para
be,
poder
it is a reasonable
aumentar la
expense,
transparencia
Operar.
financiera,
Ujú.
que es una de nuestras como metas.
and
La
it's one of
razón
our
por qué
goals.
existimos
The reason we
es porque
exist
creemos que tener
is because we think
transparencia
to have
y unidad
transparency
financiera entre
and
las escuelas
unity
es
financially
importante.
between the schools is
Entonces,
important,
pero es mucha inversión. Y
but it's a
ahora
lot of
tenemos a Brooke,
investment.
que es
Now we
buena
have
en
Brooke,
hacer subvenciones, pero es
she's good at
posible
doing
que quizás
grants,
empezamos con el manual
but maybe we could start with the manual,
cuando vemos que tenemos esta
and when we
sostenibilidad o
see
cuando
we have
encontramos una
this
subvención que es
sustainability or we get a
precisamente para
grant
la contabilidad o para
that is
operaciones
for accounting
internas,
or for internal operations, then we
Ya.
invite diverge back for
Y
number
esa es mi
one
parte de aclaración,
later. So
porque
that's what
una
I wanted
cosa
to
es
clarify. It's one thing
que
to
sea, por ejemplo, un entrenamiento,
for it to be a
¿verdad? Que
training
podemos cubrir con el dinero
that we could
de esa
cover with the
subvención que tú
money
dices que
from
todavía
that
tenemos el
grant that you
fondo.
say we have the
Y otra
funds.
cosa es
Another
que
thing
se
is to
contrate a
say
que haga
that we
todo lo que
contract
haría
them
una
to
contabilidad
do
normal, ¿verdad?
everything that
A
a
largo
normal
plazo no tenemos ese
accountant
dinero
would do,
para cubrir
which
un
at the
año.
long term, we don't
Usualmente
have enough
tenemos
money to
un
cover that.
presupuesto semejante. Ujú.
Quizás Stacy puede responder. ¿Sería
Maybe
posible
Stacy could
después de
respond
aprender con María
after Learn with Maria
a mí y a Nicole Williams
and
para poder
meet
elaborar
with
este
Nicole
manual
Williams to
y como
elaborate this
producto no
manual as a
simplemente
product,
entregan el manual,
not
pero
just
también
turn
nos
in the manual,
capacitan a
but also
nosotros,
train
tanto
us
como los 5 PTOs, los 5
like the
tesoreros
same five
en
treasures
el
of the
otoño,
five PTOs in the
en
fall,
cómo llevar a cabo
and how
el
to
manual de operaciones.
how to how to use the manual of the accounting manual.
Sure. So the one thing with the manual, that's definitely something that we could assist with in terms of creating it. One of the things that comes up typically that I've seen is that because treasurers aren't long-term people on boards, or like, it's only a year or maybe 2-year turnaround, you'd be training those same 5 people or the same treasurers every few years. And so that's why we proposed the shift of having that treasury to be a single person who's going to remain, or outsourcing that accounting piece. Because sometimes, especially depending on the level of training needed, it's almost more costly to train treasurers if they don't have a finance background, than it is to just do that work. And so that just depends on the group you're working with and how often they turn over.
Ya.
So, el director financiero quizás
So the financial director would cover long term
el puesto de Nicole Williams
the position of Nicole Williams and Maria,
porque también estamos pagando a María
because we're also paying Maria
salario por hora más reducido,
one
pero
rate
día
per
María
hour
puede
that's
salir después de ser
reduced, but
capacitada
she could leave too
por
after
Diverge
she's
para
been
ser la
trained by
enlace de las
Diverge
5 escuelas
to
y
be
de ahí
the
perdemos todo su conocimiento.
liaison of the 5 schools, and then we lose all of her information.
Entonces tenemos el dilema de que cualquiera de las opciones
So then we
hay
have the
riesgo en
dilemma
que,
that
por un
either
lado,
way there's a
vamos a
risk,
perder el
and we're going to
potencial de lo que
lose
estamos
the
invirtiendo.
potential of
No
what
va a
we're
ser a largo
investing.
plazo,
It's not going to be a
forever, como
learn
dicen,
term.
¿verdad? Porque si tenemos
If we
el
have
director financiero de
a
Diverge,
finance director of
cuando se
Diverge,
termine el contrato, porque no
when
seamos
the
sostenibles,
contract's
también
done,
se
if
van.
it's not sustainable, they
Si
also leave.
entrenamos, por ejemplo, a María
If
como
we train
contable
Maria
y
as an
decide
accountant
tener otra
and she
opción
decides to have
en su
another
vida,
option in
también
her
se va.
life, she'll
Si
also
también
leave.
los diferentes personas
But
que
also the
aunque
different
sean
people,
tengan conocimiento, pero no
even if
están
they have knowledge,
tan cómodos para dirigir
they're
algo
not
como lo que tenemos.
comfortable
Cuando se
to
termina su periodo, se va. Es decir, que
direct,
tenemos
they're
un
going to leave
riesgo
too. So we have
constante
a constant
de
risk
perder la persona
of
que
losing the
entrenamos.
person that we
Menos
train.
el manual se queda.
But the
Sí,
manual stays.
Mientras las personas hacen
pero la
referencia al
experiencia,
manual, se queda.
pero la
The,
experiencia se va.
but the experience leaves.
Una cosa es lo que está escrito y otra
One
cosa es la
thing is
experiencia
what's
de
written, and
manejarlo,
the other is
¿verdad?
the
So
experience of how to
quizás
run it.
otros líderes en
So
la
maybe
junta que
other
fueron
leaders
capacitados y se quedan, que no
who
todo
stay,
vive con María.
not everything
¿Verdad?
should
Por
live with
eso
Maria.
propuse que
That's why I
cuando el manual está
proposed that when we
finalizado,
finalize the
Stacy o la
manual,
persona
that
que le ayuda
Stacy or the
capacita a
person that
toda la
helps her
junta y
train the
los
whole
5
board and the
tesoreros de
5
las escuelas para
treasurers
que
of the
el
schools,
conocimiento vive en las
so
personas y no
that
solamente es un
the
documento escrito.
knowledge lives with people.
Stacy
It's
iba a
not
decir
just
algo.
a document. Stacy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to say was that while my time, like that's the most costly in this proposal, that's usually only the upfront setup cost. So as time goes on, like let's say down the road, you're only working with our Spanish speaking team member for day to day. So costs are big in the front for the investment, but then they would streamline over time, especially if you don't have that many expenses, and especially as we make efficiencies with how things are processed. So, yes, to your point, Jose, about the big investment up front, but I think those costs will kind of regulate themselves over time and get closer to that 2,500, maybe $3,000 per month range with less of my time needed once everything's been straightened out.
Yeah. Sería interesante escuchar, por ejemplo,
It would be interesting to hear. Unfortunately, we don't have Nicole here, who was living through this experience of trying to run all that craziness of the 5 schools.
las transiciones para
And
que
the
nos diga de su
transitions,
experiencia,
so
cómo
she
se
could tell us
visualiza
about
para
her
otra
experience,
persona,
how she
¿verdad?
visualizes it for another person.
Nicole y María
Nicole and Maria are aware of this.
Nicole sí, y María
Nicole,
tuvimos una
yeah,
llamada, pero
and
tú
Maria, we had a
últimamente
call.
como presidente
You, as the
tienes que
president,
llamar a cada una
have
de
to
ellas
call each one of them
y preguntar,
and
escuchar,
ask,
porque ya tenemos toda la información, solo
because we have all
depende
the
de
information.
tomar una decisión.
We just have to make a
Exacto. Y
decision.
No
ayudar
sé.
a los otros que van a tomar
And
las
help the
decisiones
other
o
ones that are going
apoyar
to
o no
make the
apoyar
decisions
esto
to support or
con
not support.
todo, porque yo va a decir, oh, ¿y esto qué? Oh,
They're
sí,
going to
oh,
say, and
¿verdad?
this, what's
Nosotros
this?
debemos darle
We have
información
to give
de lo que estamos
information
entendiendo de este
of what
proceso.
we're understanding of this
Al final
process.
creo que es una decisión de la Junta
I
Ejecutiva,
think it's
Exacto.
a executive board decision,
pero va a formar parte del
but it's
presupuesto
going
que
to
todo el mundo
be
tiene que
part
aprobar,
of
¿verdad?
the budget that everyone has to approve.
Entonces,
Totalmente.
y esta información está clara. No
This
sé si
information is
siguen
clear.
haciendo
Stacy, I don't know
una
if
sesión de
having a session
enseñar
of
a todo el
teaching
mundo qué
everyone
contiene y cómo
what that
se
would
ejecuta
consist and how you can execute
manual
something, a
sería un
manual.
precio adicional o
Would
se
that be a
contaría por
separate
horas por el director
price,
financiero
or
o
would
la
that
gerente,
go towards
o si
the
María misma, si
financial
ustedes
director,
prepararía a
or if
María
you
para
prepare
hacer
Maria
esta parte,
to
no
do that
llevaría
part?
un costo adicional.
Would that have an additional cost?
Sure. So training usually has its own cost. It's at an hourly rate, and so we do 2 types of training. One is like individual, like we can train just Maria in her role, and that's just at that hourly rate. It's at the director of finance rate, and that can be used as she sees fit or as needed until you say, oh, we don't, she's learned all that she can, and then the goal is that she would train others. We do have presentation types of things for larger groups, but those I feel like might not be the best, only because most of our group training is for people who already have an accounting background.
Yeah.
So we don't want to create new materials because that gets more expensive, but the materials that we have are all geared towards people who come from a bookkeeping background. So I'm not sure how helpful the group training for the board would be if they don't have that step.
Entiendo que sería súper complicado para personas que no
I understand that would be really complicated for those of us that don't know a deep awareness of finance or accounting.
Al final espero que el manual
In the end, I hope the manual would continue to evolve
con María y que ella estaría
with communication with Maria, and that she would be
Eso sería
ready to teach us at the end. That would be the goal.
que ella por lo menos puede entender lo que Diverge
That
escribe.
she can understand what
Ya con su
Diverge
background,
writes, and
sí.
she could explain it to us.
Entonces, para
So
clarificar,
to clarify for me,
que soy, entonces,
I am
el director financiero,
so the finance director.
la oferta de director financiero es hacer lo que María
Is
haría,
to do
¿verdad?
what Maria would do, right?
La opción 1
Option 1
tener una persona como
would be
Stacy,
to have someone like Stacy.
la directora
She
financiera,
would be the financial
haciendo el labor de
director,
Nicole y
doing
María.
the work
Ya.
of Nicole
Todo
and
lo
Maria.
económico.
She would do everything finance related. That's what I'm trying to understand so that I can visually see it,
en acción, ¿verdad?
to see it in
Y
action.
la otra postura, la número 2,
And
que
the other
es
option, number 2,
director financiero y
is another
gerente de finanzas.
director
Eso
of
sería como
finance and
darle asesoría a esa
manager.
persona.
Would that be to?
¿Es entendible eso así?
Creo que es elaborar el
I
manual
think it's to elaborate on the manual.
Ya, como
Somebody
dándole
who knows
asesoría
what
a
that
la
is.
persona que va a ser el director
So
personalizado de
training the
nosotros.
person that's going to be specialized with us,
Por ejemplo, a María.
like Maria.
No sé qué tanto asesoría
I
sería,
don't know
pero sería
how
hacer un
much that would
manual
be,
que
but it would be to
refleja
make a
a
manual
nosotros que
that
refleja
reflects
Colectiva.
us, that reflects Colectiva.
Ya.
Ella está
Eh,
diciendo que asesoría
She
como
says
capacitación es otro
she
precio
does
no incluido
training.
aquí.
It's another
Pero ellos
cost not
necesitarían
included
una
here.
comunicación con
But they
María
need a
para
communication
poder
with
elaborar
Maria to
nuestro
be able
manual y
to
no solamente
elaborate our
un manual de
manual
otra ONG.
and not just another
ya, y ese
manual
es mi
of
punto. ¿Qué
another
tanto
ORG.
es
That's my point.
solamente colaboración o es
Just collaboration,
realmente
or
trabajar
is it
con
work
eso y ya?
with it?
Ya, eso para Stacy, ¿qué tanta colaboración
Stacy,
implicaría
how
número
much
2?
collaboration is involved in number 2?
The main portion of number 2 is to get that Spanish speaking person who's fluent to work with Maria. That's the one thing that was important, I think, because I could do the work, but then Maria wouldn't be able to learn. I'm not sure how much I can communicate if she's not fluent. So the second part was to have the Spanish speaking fluent person. And that person just isn't a trainer. So they're not a finance director. So they don't know how to change things, but they know how to communicate those ideas. And so that was why that second person was added. One of the things I can see potentially shifting to, and I can see if this person is comfortable with it, she's a senior accounting manager. Her name's Nora, and I can see if she would take on some of the director type pieces and try to help with the manual, because it's hard to get a manual of it because I'm not sure how she probably knows systems. And so maybe she can run number 1 on her own and work with Maria and help in the training pieces. Like if you wanted to just consult with her time on an hourly basis, that might help. And maybe that's the first step in the process, right? Is working with our Spanish speaking team member at Diverge to find out what's needed, because maybe you don't need the whole package, but you can at least, and she also has experience with creating manuals. That's another reason why she's on this project. So she gets support in that way, and she can just be that hourly rate. I'd have to check her availability, but I think maybe that seems like an option to kind of meet in the middle to get everything that you need.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. That helped me to understand better what is the second option was. Because in my mind, it's still like only a package, but not exactly what it is in the package.
Yeah. No, and the easiest way to describe the package is who you're getting on the team and for how many hours, right? The finance director, I'm the one who can change things and make best practices so that the accounting piece shrinks, so you're just being more efficient and you're helping out the treasurers. And then the second person is the one who's Spanish speaking. She does the actual bookkeeping and accounting services. Like she's in the QuickBooks, she's doing your accounts payable and writing your checks and creating that manual. That's how I think about it.
Thank you, Stacy. Stacy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stacy.
This is like, for many like Latino like me, this is the most uncomfortable zone for over here when they need to see money in a lot of money. Because we always, personally, we always in the base of surviving. And then we talking about too many money. What going on?
No, I see that a lot, especially with non-finance folks, because you got, I mean, you're in the business of school and education, that's not finance. So I totally understand that. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
Y José recuerda hace un año cuando nos llegó
Jose, I
la
also
oportunidad de
remember
una
one
subvención
year
súper
when we
grande,
had
¿verdad?
a really
Ese
big
tipo de
grant.
subvención, aunque en
That
aquel
grant
tiempo trataba de aire,
was
también nos dejaría
talking,
mucho dinero
would have
para
given us
hacer
a
la
lot of
contabilidad
money
con
to
Diverge
do
para todo,
accountants
¿verdad?
with Diverge for
Entonces, si un
everything.
día aparece
So
una
if one day
subvención
we
de un
see a
proyecto
grant
que ya
for a
existe,
project that already
y hemos llegado al
exists,
acuerdo que podemos
that we've
buscar
agreed
subvenciones por cosas que ya
we can
existen,
find a grant that
¿verdad?
already things
Pero un
exist,
10% de esa
10%
subvención
of
puede
that grant
sostener
can
Diverge
sustain
por meses,
Diverge for
por la
months,
duración del proyecto, ¿verdad?
for the duration of the
Muchos
project.
proyectos son de 18 meses.
Many projects are
Entonces,
18
en
months.
este caso,
So
sería
in
excelente
this
decir,
case,
por favor,
we could
Diverge, ayúdanos
say,
mes por mes.
oh,
Pero en
Diverge,
este
help us
momento,
each month. But
creo
at
que
this
la
moment,
mayoría y lo
I think
responsable, porque
the
no tenemos
responsible,
suficiente ahora para
we
cubrir
don't have a
nuestro
lot of
presupuesto,
enough money to cover
proponiendo,
this,
sería hacer el proyecto
would be to do the project
y después ver cómo van las
and
cosas.
later see how things are going. What are the options after that?
Lo que yo intento mirar es la
What I'm trying to
sostenibilidad
see is the
de un
sustainability
sistema
of a
que
system.
sea fácil para cualquiera que tome
So it could
la
be easy,
responsabilidad
whoever takes
y
on that
no se
responsibility,
nos queme. Porque, por ejemplo,
and to not get
era
burnt. Like
excelente,
Nicole, she was excellent,
pero claro,
but
trabajando con un
working
sistema que no sea
with the system that
eficaz,
wasn't
claro,
efficient,
quemaron toda el espacio que ella podía prestar y su energía.
it took
Y
up all her
personas tan
energy.
talentosas, sí, no es
She's
bueno
so
perder
talented. We don't want to lose
solo porque
people
no
like
tenemos
that
un
just
sistema que
because we
sea
don't have a
sostenible
system that's
a la
sustainable
disponibilidad de voluntariado que llegan
Sí.
for
a
volunteers
Colectiva.
to come to
Y
Colectiva.
entiendo que eso es lo que puede apoyar el director financiero al
That's what
manual,
the financial director
poner
can
en el
help with,
manual
to
todas
do
las
the
cosas que
manual,
son automatizados,
all the
¿verdad?
things that are automated.
Hay cosas que se puede automatizar que
You
no
can
están
automate
automatizados ahora.
things
Entonces,
that are
esto
not
sí
automated right now.
sería como parte del manual.
So this could be part of the manual.
La parte del director financiero sería
The
cambiar algunos
director
sistemas,
financial would be to change some systems and document them in the manual or not.
Yes. Yeah, that's
como un
very,
overhaul,
yeah, no, so, yeah,
like a cleaning of our systems.
yeah,
Part of the project-based work.
absolutely. My goal is to make it so that you're spending maybe a third of the amount of time that you do now on accounting and just automating as much as possible. So even Maria, if she stays on, has less to do, right? So there are a lot of things that can be automated, I think, based on what I've learned from Heidi so far. But yeah, my job is to make it as efficient as possible and consistent so that it just runs like a machine and just becomes more efficient over time.
Bueno.
Okay.
I'll let you think about it.
¿Ya? ¿Eso es todo?
Creo
Okay.
que no tengo hasta ahora
José
más
va a hablar con Nicole,
preguntas.
con María, con Amy.
Okay, you're going to talk with Amy, Nicole, and then we'll make a decision.
Okay.
Thank you
Sounds good.
for all the you did and clarification.
No, absolutely. Happy to help you guys. Thank you.
Okay, gracias. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, voy a detener.